Excuse me. Welcome to the April meeting of NPU-F. Today is April 16th, 2025, and I'm Debbie Skipczynski, Chair for NPU-F. Taking minutes tonight is Catherine King. She'll be joining us a little bit later in the meeting. Also present is Susan Canellis, who is the Public Safety Co-Chair, Tom Schwab, the Alcohol Licensing Chair. I think I saw Wiley Somerville Zoning Chair, Rich Sussman, Marla Johnson, and Doug Young, who is our assigned planner. Co-hosting with me tonight is Tom Schwab. This is his first night of co-hosting, so be a little patient with him tonight. NPU-F has two agendas, the full agenda, which is the one with the telephone numbers at the top of the front. We also use the consent agenda, which includes applications which historically this NPU has approved with no discussion. These applications will be bundled together to be approved with a single vote. That's on the consent agenda. If you are here for an application, please check the full agenda to find it. Both agendas are now in the chat. If you pulled down an agenda from the city's website last week, there will be several changes that were made after it was published. And I learned last night that there were a couple additional errors on the agenda. So we're going to have to walk through this kind of carefully to make sure that we're voting on the right stuff. All residents of NPU-F may vote on any issue unless there's a financial interest in the application or motion. For example, property or business owners may not vote on their own applications, but can vote on others. If you're not an NPU resident, business owners may vote if they have met the requirements as described in our bylaws. The voting rules are on the bottom of the full agenda. We are using the honor system tonight to vote, which means that we're not putting little V's in front of your names to indicate verified members. Please refrain from voting if you do not live or own property or business in NPU-F. We'll vote using the raise your hand function, and in a little bit, we'll take a vote and make sure that everyone can find that icon. Okay, can we make sure everybody is on mute so that there's no disturbances? NPU-F uses Robert's Rules of Order as our parliamentary guide. Please do not be intimidated. We try to stay reasonably informal. For most routine matters, I will ask if there are any objections or for unanimous consent. When a motion is requested, I'll recognize the first two people who speak up to move or second a motion. This is the only exception I have to the raise your hand rule. I know most people have used Zoom in the past, but for those who are using it for the first time or need a refresher, here's some things you'll want to know. Zoom publishes a participant list, which includes everyone who is attending this meeting. Your name will be at the top of the list. If there is more than one person using the same device, please include both names on the participant list so we can get an accurate attendance report. This will also be important for voting. To change or add a name, click on the word more, M-O-R-E, to the right of your name to find an option to rename at the bottom of the dropdown. Also, if someone else's name is showing up in your window, please correct it. If there are duplicate names, neither one's vote will count. The mute button, which looks like a microphone, can usually be found at the bottom left of most screens. Please stay muted unless you are called on. If you wish to speak, please use the raise your hand icon, which is found under the reaction tab, also generally found at the bottom of the screen. Be sure you click on the correct icon. Sometimes folks will hit the thumbs up and that disappears after 10 seconds. Speakers will be called on in the order their hands are raised. Also, please be sure your camera is on when you speak so that we can see who is talking to us. If you have called in and want to raise your hand, click on *9. To mute or unmute, push *6. Your hand will show up on my screen. So that we can get through our voting items, please follow the meeting protocols. Keep all questions and comments germane to the topic being addressed and respectful of everyone in the meeting. To allow everyone an opportunity to speak, I'm going to ask that you only speak once on a topic unless you are asked for clarification or a question on previous remarks. Please limit your comments to 2 minutes or less unless otherwise instructed. If you have a random thought, please make a note in the chat and someone will either respond or work it into the discussion if appropriate. At the end of the meeting, I will ask if there is anything else to come before the NPU tonight. That's the appropriate time to speak up on items not on the agenda. The chat is where you can send messages to everyone or an individual. If I see the comments have become inappropriate, have false information, or rude or mean-spirited, I will turn off the chat for the remainder of the meeting. As a reminder, you can save the chat by clicking on the 3 dots in the chat window. If you can't save it, let us know in the chat window and we'll get it to you. A reminder that snarky or sarcastic comments are not helpful or appreciated. Please keep the snark to yourself. NPU-F is a snark-free zone, and I will try to do the same. So that we can all hear and we can get a good recording, it is important that only one person speaks at a time. If we are picking up background noise or you interrupt or hog the floor, you will be muted. This is election season again, so a reminder that campaigning is prohibited at NPU meetings. This means that you cannot introduce yourself as a candidate or representing a candidate or mention campaign activities on screen or in the chat. Please, no campaign signs, buttons, or banners on screen. Most people who attend NPU meetings are here because they feel strongly on a particular agenda item. I especially want to hear from you if you are opposed to an application or if you think there is something that should be noted to make a project more appropriate to the neighborhood. Please don't be shy about your point of view, but also be brief. You may also put your comments in the chat and they will be captured in written reports sent to the city if appropriate. And if I'm moving too quickly through the agenda, please call me out. Sometimes I get on a roll and forget important steps. Last year, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the NPU system. Mayor Maynard Jackson created the NPU system in 1974 to ensure that folks had input into how their neighborhoods were developed. The role of the NPUs has evolved over those 50 years, and we are now asked to comment on a wide variety of topics that affect our neighborhoods, the NPU, and citywide. Your participation is critical to this form of grassroots democracy, so let's make the best of it. We have the responsibility to share our opinion with our city leadership and the strength of that opinion with NPU vote counts. As a reminder, all votes taken at the NPU are only recommendations. Final decisions are made by city boards, city administrators, or city council. And I hope that you will take advantage of expressing your opinion there as well, either in writing, by phone, or by making a comment during public hearing opportunities. Our first order of business is to adopt the agenda. Are there any additions to tonight's agenda? If so, please raise your hand. Seeing none, are there any objections to adopting the agenda this evening? Okay, seeing no objections, the agenda is adopted without objection. We do not have April minutes tonight. We'll approve them at next month's meeting. And announcements. Some of you may have heard that Zoom experienced a nationwide outage today. It was a little iffy for us. It came back around 4:30 and hopefully will not fail again. If it does during the meeting, by default, we will adjourn and reconvene to handle the matters for voting only those matters, next Wednesday night, April 23rd at 7 p.m. We'll make sure that if there's any change to the Zoom room, that there'll be plenty of communications through the neighborhoods as well as to our email list. Hopefully that won't be necessary, but the timing will give us sufficient time to get reports to the various decision-making bodies in the city in time. Next, last month we announced the municipal court code enforcement hearing for Happy Herman's European Dry Cleaners and Landmark Diner on Cheshire Bridge. That hearing was reset last month and will now be held on Tuesday, April 29th at 9 a.m. in courtroom 5C at the City of Atlanta Municipal Court. That's at 150 Garnett Street Southwest. Thank you to Janelle Bowles, who's our ambassador from the City Solicitor's Office, for providing this information to us. It is also on the consent agenda. And then finally, Trees Atlanta is hosting a tree maintenance project on Saturday, May 3rd from 9 to noon to mulch and prune around 200 trees in Virginia Highland. If you're looking for a volunteer opportunity, this is a good one. The focus of the project is to maintain the trees that were planted 2 to 3 years ago. And a link to sign up is on the consent agenda. So we're now going to move to reports from city departmental representatives. I didn't see everyone that came into the room. So is there anyone here from Atlanta Fire?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great.
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Justin Turner, captain on Battalion 3, which is located in Atlantic Station, but Station 19 in Virginia Highlands is in our battalion. Not too much going on with the fire department, which is a good thing. In April, towards the end of this month, you'll see us out for our spring hydrant inspections. So just be kind of leery if you're washing white clothes when we're out testing hydrants, because sometimes it can get a little murky, the water, for a little while. Also on May 1st, it's our annual breakfast with the bravest breakfast. If anyone's interested in that, I can put the link up for tickets. We'd love to have y'all come out and take part. And it's really what is our award ceremony for the fire department. And that's really about it for the fire department, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Thank you, Captain. If anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands raised. Thanks for being here tonight.
Yes, ma'am. And I'll put that link up about the breakfast with the bravest in the chat.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is there anyone here from APD Zone 2 or Zone 6?
Good evening, Captain Dearlove from the Zone 2 precinct. Hello, everyone. Just a couple updates. We're continuing to see a decrease. We're 14% down for the year, continuing on from last year's decrease in crime. Our issues up here on the north side is going to be property related, specifically car break-ins. Please do not leave anything in your vehicles. And to other preventative measures that we can take is also joining our APD Connect, whereas you could just register your surveillance cameras with our city and link it up with our, so in case there's any issues coming up with any crimes in and around that neighborhood, we would have a resource for all the surveillance cameras in and around that corridor. Just a heads up for June and July, we're hosting the FIFA soccer games. It's gonna be 6 games from June 16th to July 5th. These games are gonna have a large fan base that's coming into the city, so it's gonna be a increase in population for those 2 weeks, so just be prepared for that. That's basically it. That's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Does anyone have any questions for Captain Dearlove? Raise your hand, please. Hey, I don't see any questions, Captain. Anyone here from Zone 6?
Thank you, everyone. I'll leave my info in chat. Thank you, and everyone have a good night.
Thank you, Captain. Stay safe. Okay, is there anyone here from APD Code Enforcement?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Officer Bruno with the APD Code Enforcement. As we are approaching the summer season, we anticipate seeing more overgrowth than usual. And to help maintain the appearance and safety of our neighborhoods, please keep your grass cut and manage any overgrown vegetation. We are also responsible for conducting inspections on private properties and address complaints on a daily basis. If you have any concerns or questions regarding specific properties, please don't hesitate to reach out to 311. Additionally, if you would like to discuss any property issues related to NPU-F directly with me, feel free to contact me and I will share my contact information in the messages.
Oh, okay. Officer Bruno, are you our new code enforcement officer?
I am actually filling in for Miss Williams.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Okay. And just a reminder to everyone that's participating in the meeting tonight, you can save the chat at either at the top or the bottom of the chat, depending on what version of Zoom you have, but you'll see 3 dots. If you click on those 3 dots, it'll save the chat on your hard drive. Okay, Tamika Merriweather from ATL 311.
Good evening, guys. My name is Tamika Merriweather. I am your 311 ambassador. As you all know, 311 is your non-emergency center for reporting things as such as potholes, missing carts, uh, permits, so on and so forth. We also are with supportive services and PAD, and we have great news. They have recently extended their hours to midnight. So the whole center is now from 7 a.m. to midnight, Monday through Friday. So if you would like to report any quality of life concerns that would need PAD or supportive services, they are now open until midnight. So if you see someone in need after 7, they are now able to assist you via phone, chat, or social media. We also have email. You can email us at atl311 at Atlanta, spelled out, ga.gov. You can, of course, call us by calling 311. If you do not have an area code that starts with 404 770 678 or 470, we are encouraging you to dial the 10-digit number, which is 404 546 0311. You can also at us at ATL311 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Take a picture of your concern and send it to us. You can also download the app and check on and create your own cases from there. You also have the ability to chat with us. I am one of the live chat agents. So I answer the phone and chat. So yes, those are our ways to reach us. We also encourage you guys to also recreate your accounts online if you have not accessed it since December 2024, we got a new system where it joins the departments together. So when your case is closed, it's closed by that department and not ATL 311. But if you have not accessed or logged in, we do encourage you to go ahead and re-sign up. Other than that, I open the floor for any questions or concerns that you may have.
Are there any questions for Tamika, Atlanta 311? Okay. And you've put all that
I put
in the
I
chat.
put the flyers as well as the contact information in the chat. I'll repost it just to make sure anybody who came in after me gets it. And we do encourage you guys to do the survey so that we'll know how we're doing, bad or good. We do encourage you to fill out that survey. The overall contact is in the chat, but so is my supervisor's contact if you ever want to reach her.
Okay, great. I see a couple hands raised. Jane Rice.
Yes, I've had use of 311 these last 5 weeks, and I want to say I was very pleased with the service I got, and I wanted to thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jane. And Kevin?
Yes, thank you, Tamika. I'm with the Virginia Highland Civic Association Board, and we're looking at doing a town hall meeting for probably May. Would y'all be able to send someone to be there in person to have a table to interact with them and be attend?
Yes, I'm gonna repost it in the chat, but one of those links is how you can sign up and have us come out for any events that you guys may want to have. Of
Wow,
course, you want to make sure to get it to us in time so that we can put us on the calendar. But yes, most definitely. I'm putting it in there now again.
thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. And Charlie?
Yeah, thanks, Tamika. I had a question. When someone's dealing with issues related to watershed management, Aisha Brown is the ambassador to watershed management. Is it better to go through Aisha? Um, Better, quicker, faster, more efficient, uh, than go, is that the best way to go?
So it just depends because Department of Watershed is layered. We handle all of their emergency reportings except for meters and anything billing. Okay, so if it's a meter investigation or billing inquiry or refund, they directly handle it. But if it's something like a non-working hydrant or a sewer backup or spill, or even a cave-in from a sewer backup or spill that has now developed, water main breaks, things that will affect the city as a whole. Remember last June, we're coming up on a year on that. Those things come through us. And if you don't get the response time that they indicate with it, because some, like each department, some have a quicker turnover. For example, a water main break has a 24-hour turnover, whereas a meter, because it's not affecting your neighbors, is something just for you, can go from 7 to 10 business days. Now, they're not going to try to take the whole thing, but that's the window that they give you. Transportation, if it's an emergency traffic light, is 1 business day, but a pothole is 10. So if you're not getting that response in the time that they are advising you, you can reach out to us and have us escalate it. We have a whole escalation team. But just like I said, it's the layers. It depends on what the issue is. If going through Aisha would be quicker.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. And Aisha is here tonight. Any other questions? Okay, Tamika, thanks for being here tonight and for that good information.
Oh, you're so very welcome. You guys have a great one.
Thanks. Is there anyone here from Public Works Code Enforcement? Okay, remember to stay muted, otherwise we get some funny sounds. Watershed Management, Aisha Brown. I saw Aisha's name. Aisha, are you still with us?
She said that in her post, she said that she was having Zoom problems.
Okay.
In the chat, she put.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Did she leave contact information?
Yeah, she left all the contact information and stuff and then said, I'm having trouble with Zoom.
Okay, great. Thanks for letting me know, Charlie. Fulton County Solicitor, our friend Janelle Bowles.
I believe you missed good old Parks and Rec.
No, I haven't gotten to Parks and Rec yet.
Okay, sorry.
I don't do this in alphabetical order.
Okay.
Janelle?
Yes, good evening. Hope everyone is doing well tonight. Janelle Bowles from the City Solicitor's Office. I will put my information in the chat. I'm also going to include our link tree so that you can connect and explore our services by visiting all of our social media channels. We are on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, And just wanted to remind you, our core functions, we involved in prosecution of general traffic, criminal, and code enforcement cases. We are also offer diversion and alternative prosecution programs for some of the cases. And we're also involved in community prosecution. So if there are any questions that you may have, let me know. We are led by our great Mr. Rains Carter, who's been there for several years and is doing a fantastic job. I am a member of the special properties team. We are safe and secure housing, and we also handle some commercial properties, but primarily we are doing residential properties that are multifamily. We are involved in some commercial properties that have some issues around those multifamily areas. And we also will be getting involved in some of the blight issues as they arise. So as always, I'm available if you have any questions, and I will leave my information in the chat.
Thanks, Janelle. Does anyone have any questions? And thanks again for providing that information about the hearing.
Absolutely.
Joshua Bridge.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Okay, Tara, Parks and Recreation.
Yay, Parks and Recreation. Thank you very much. I'm Tara Buckner. I'm the urban planner for the City of Atlanta Department of Parks and Recreation. I will be dropping in the chat our Keeping Up with ATL Parks and Recreation highlights flyer. But just want to point out a couple of things to you tonight. We have park rangers, and they are here to help. The number for the park rangers is 404-546-7911, and you can press 1 and you will reach a park ranger. If you have any inquiries about park related matters that are not emergency, we are ramping up our program, so we're trying to have them available in as many parks as possible. And let's see, so just want to remind folks that may be interested, Camp Best Friends is coming back for this year. The theme is Under the Sea. And so students between the ages of 5 and 12 are welcome to participate. And the camp will run from June 9th to July 25th. Camp is $35 a week. However, and there is a multi-child discount. However, there is support available for those who are not able to pull that all together. We want to make sure that kids have stuff to do while they're out of school this summer. Then we are also training lifeguards. We have a lifeguard training program, and we are doing training sessions. They're going to be held at Roselle Fan Rec Center on April 25th, 26th, and 27th. The fee is $205, although the program is free if you are hired as a lifeguard with the City of Atlanta. So students that are as young as 15 years and have some valid ID can sign up for that program, and it should be great. Youth after school program that's going on, and the closest one to NPU-F is at Peachtree Hills. Atlanta Teen Leadership Academy, that too is going on, and the closest one to NPU-F is Peachtree Hills. And of course, if you need to reach out to us, first of all, to register for all the classes, you can go to iParks. And then if you have any concerns about park maintenance, parks customer service, certainly you can go to 311, or you can email us or call us. The email address is parkscustomerservice@atlantagA.gov. And we will be talking about trails later, I guess, in the presentation tonight. So thank you. If there are any questions for me, I'm available.
All right, does anyone have any questions for Parks and Recreation? Alrighty, not seeing any. Thanks for being here, Tara. Will you be, oh,
Okay.
Rich Sussman, go ahead. Oh, you gotta unmute. Rich. Nope.
Okay. Tara, what is the function of the city's park rangers? Is it programming, or could you explain that, please?
It is to provide support for safety and other activities to make sure that everybody is enjoying our parks.
So they do not have police authority, though. Is that correct?
Yes, they do.
They do. Okay.
Yes, they are police officers
All right. Thank you.
assigned to Parks and Rec.
Thanks.
And are they in all of the major parks or just some of the parks?
Well, we started out with two rangers, and I can't remember how many we have now, but we have kind of a nicer sized team, and so we're trying to get them to all the larger parks first. But the goal is to make sure that we're trying to have them be available to as many parks as possible.
And will they go from park to park or are they
Yes.
on a route? Okay. Any other questions? Okay, well, thanks.
Okay, I'll put the keeping up with DPR in the chat.
Okay,
Thank
and
you.
thanks. And last but not least, the Office of Neighborhood Ombudsman. I didn't see Clyde Mitchell's name. Is anyone else here?
Yes, I'm here representing Climate Mitchell today.
Oh, okay, thank you.
No problem. Hello, NPU-F. My name is Apollo Gunn. I'm a fellow on the Office of Neighborhoods Ombudsman, Dr. Joni Mayerday. I'm here representing Clyde Mitchell as he's in another meeting right now. Ombuds are independent, neutral, and impartial parties that can assist with navigating the city, finding resources, and resolving outstanding issues following any unresolved escalation to 311 or any other city department. I'll be putting my personal information and Clyde Mitchell's information in the chat as well. You guys need to reach out regarding anything. If you guys have any questions, I'll be here to answer it, and I'll be here during the entire duration of the meeting if you guys come up with anything after I finish speaking.
Okay, great. Thank you, Apollo.
No problem.
All right, are there any other, this is the last call, any other representatives from a city department that has a presentation? Okay. Next on the agenda are comments from elected officials. And first up is Alex Wan. Alex, thanks for being here tonight.
Hey, thanks, Debbie. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather. I'm working on a cough drop, so hopefully I won't start coughing crazily during my report. A few things to report out. We're on recess now until Monday, so that's why things are kind of quiet at City Hall. But there's just a lot of talk amongst council members about two big things. One is Amsterdam Walk. As y'all may have been following, that will be before City Council, full council on Monday, both the land use paper and the zoning paper. And there's been, I appreciate a lot of the communication that's been going on from the community to council members, but there is a lot of discussion in the hallways about it. So we'll see. I think it's going to be close, but we'll be working up until meeting time. The second thing is tree protection ordinance. There was supposed to have been a substitute presented by buildings and the law department during the last committee cycle. It did not come out, so it's being held in committee. I think there have been some rumblings circling around that we may vote on it on Monday and pull it out of committee. I don't believe that's the case. There are a number of council members, including myself, that would like to go ahead and get this done now. I know the industry is pushing back on it and wants to split what I call split the baby, take some of the controversial and quite frankly meaningful stuff out of it, and punt that down the road. But we will see. But just know that I'm tracking that pretty closely as well. And then once we get back the week of April 28th, we should see the budget for the proposed budget for FY 2026. That period starts July 1, but we'll be in budget deliberations all of May. We're hearing that there are going to be pretty major cuts in the departments, anywhere from 5 to 10%, and with a concentration on staffing levels. I said in the Morningside board meeting on Monday that the two departments I'm going to be focusing on just to try and preserve will be buildings, as well as transportation. Transportation, we just have such a backlog of infrastructure projects and issues. Now is really not the time to be scaling back on that. One of the projects, and this is the final thing I'll report out, is Monroe Drive, Safer Streets. I don't have a specific update yet, but I understand that there will be there is a memo prepared kind of on the final decision on the bike lanes on Monroe Drive that is awaiting the commissioner's signature so that we can share it out. He's on vacation while we're on recess. So I'm hoping within the next 2 weeks, I'll be able to share some information out about the decision on that, and then a timeline and status on that project going forward. With that, Debbie, that's really all I had that I wanted to report out. Again, it's recess, so things are quiet. But to the extent that you've got time on the meeting, I'm happy to take questions.
Yeah, I think we've got time for questions if you can handle.
Yep.
Rich Sussman.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
Hey, Rich.
What has happened to the ordinance that was dealing with party houses in certain zoning categories? I read some stuff. There was quite a bit of opposition from certain segments of the city on that. What's supposed to resolution, if any?
Yeah. So the short-term rental paper that would put a little more infrastructure around short-term rentals, including limitations and then penalties on party houses, is stuck in committee. It's weird. I thought planning it was there in terms of what they wanted us to review and move forward. But I think industry kind of got to them, and they are still kind of grinding on it. I suspect it's my understanding that they want to do the tree protection first and then come back and visit STRs after that. And then in the middle of that move Plan A, the comprehensive land use or comprehensive development plan out in the summer as well. So it's going to be kind of rapid fire from buildings once we get back.
Just to follow up, has the city done a report on how well the existing, say, Airbnb legislation has been implemented?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily the party house, but a couple of years ago we heard it go through, and there was people, I think in general, were okay with it, but I think there was an expectation that the city, I know it was difficult starting it off, but has the city reported on how it's doing?
No, it is kind of a failed start, I would say. I mean, they opened up registration, but there aren't any regulations in it in terms of enforcing the requirements and the penalties. I think because of some legal considerations, that is what precipitated this next round of SDR legislation edits. So yeah, no, something went into place. There was just a registration piece of it, but it had no teeth in it. So because they were still working on the second round.
Thanks.
Yep.
Charlie Cafton. Charlie, unmute.
Charlie, you're still on mute. I can't hear you.
Mute. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. I just want to let everybody know that a fact sheet has been developed, sort of summarizing the key issues around the Amsterdam Walk issue. It's been shared very widely. I will put it up in the chat as a PDF file so that everybody here can have a copy.
Oh, thanks, Charlie. And Sabrina Robs. Sabrina?
Yes. Hi. Mr. One, I'm actually new to this meeting. This is like my second meeting, and I'm trying to get a little feedback. I wanted to know and confirm, are you the councilman for the area Cheshire Bridge Road, Cheshire Bridge High Rise?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I just wanted to touch bases. Not sure if you were on the call last month, but my concerns would be as far as safer streets and pedestrian safety. I mentioned that we had several of our residents struck here, Cheshire Bridge. Um, thank God they were not fatal. However, just trying to get some connection with the right person to try to assist us with slowing down the traffic here. It's been like this, I think, for quite some while, but my residents have major concerns and just trying to reach out to you if you could even come here to try to meet with the residents just to, hear their version and speak with them.
Absolutely. Serena, I put my contact information in the chat. I will share with you that there is some money allocated in the Moving Atlanta Forward bond issuance for Cheshire Bridge. I will say it's in one of the later phases. The next big one is going to be North Highland. That was supposed to start this year, but it's already 12 months behind schedule. So, but there is funding set aside to try and help address the conditions and pedestrian safety on Cheshire. So yeah, if you'll reach out to me, we'll get something set up.
All right, thank you so much. I look forward to that.
Thanks, Sabrina. Todd Corley?
Hey, good afternoon. Sabrina, I'm really glad you were able to make some progress here on the Cheshire Bridge Road corridor issues. I've really tried to bring these issues up, Alex, for now about 3 years. And just this past week, met with the city in regards to trying to get some of those improvements in Cheshire and along the entire corridor, really, not just the pedestrian improvements. Any word on making improvements beyond just pedestrian improvements, like road expansion? I know that there was the proposed Cheshire Bridge Road light rail project by MARTA. I think there's a lot of things ahead of us that potentially could really transform our community that, quite frankly, I don't think are getting addressed.
Yeah, so Todd, I mean, I think you know that 3 years ago when you put forward that list, we connected you with the Department of Transportation. They went through and did a site visit with you and went through a lot of the ideas you had were cost prohibitive, largely because La Vista and Lindbergh are a state road. Cheshire is a city road. But any sort of street widening would require a lot of land acquisition, and that ends up being the block in terms of project viability. I did hear from buildings that they had met with you and you had given them a list as well. I heard from the department, I guess, 2 days ago. So since we've been on recess, I haven't been able to sit down with them directly in terms of what specifically was on that and the practicality. I think you were asking for impact fees. That's a very complicated process as well. And so, yeah, as soon as we get back, I'll check in with them. I think you're referring to, in terms of the Cheshire Bridge light rail project, I think you must be referring to the Clifton corridor with MARTA, which intersects Cheshire Bridge, but isn't it doesn't follow Cheshire Bridge. That project, along with a couple others, is still in the MARTA project list. But if you've been following the news, the mayor's been somewhat wrestling with MARTA recently in terms of trying to reconfigure some of those project priorities, including rail and the Beltline investment that the voters voted on. So follow that one. I'm trying to champion the Clifton corridor. I've been doing it every time MARTA comes to transportation meeting, I bring it up. So yeah, appreciate the community pressure on that. I think my understanding from MARTA that there may be a community meeting on the Clifton corridor alignment which is now being proposed to follow the CSX line this summer, with an anticipation of, if we can keep it moving, to submit to the federal government in 2026 for funding evaluation. So stay tuned on that one. If there is a meeting, I'm definitely going to broadcast it out, and I'll need the community to be out there to advocate for it in terms of MARTA. And then, like I said, next week when we get back, I'll check back with buildings. They did let me know about your list, but they haven't shown it to me yet. So thanks, Todd.
Okay, and Sachi?
Hi, just a I'm with the Piedmont Heights Alliance, and I just wanted to let everybody know that we are planning on building a CID around the Cheshire Bridge corridor, and we are in that process of building up the neighborhood and getting better just a community involvement as well as funding just to add to the conversation.
Yeah, very quickly, for those who aren't familiar, CID is a commercial improvement district where it's a self-taxing boundary of businesses that agree to pay additional taxes that go into a pot that then can be deployed to improve things like infrastructure, public safety, even landscaping and beautification within the corridor. You have one in Buckhead, you have one in downtown, you have one in Midtown right now already.
Okay, great, Saji. Okay. I didn't see any other hands raised, Alex.
Okay. I appreciate it. Perfect timing. The cough drop is wearing off, but I'll stick around and try and listen as much of the meeting as I can.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you for your help on the grant. Let's see. Are there any other elected officials that are here tonight? Or representatives of elected officials that have a report? And if you're here but don't have a report, can you put your contact information into the chat, please?
Okay, yes, Amber is here from Councilmember Bond's office.
Do you have a report, Amber?
Yes, I have a direct message from the council member. We are hoping to move the tree ordinance forward with some amendments. He is not at the NPU in quotes, I am not at the NPU meeting because I am attending the Reparations Commission meeting that I established. They are electing officers tonight. We hope to do the same on Thursday for the 150th Sequential Recognition Commission for the African American Civil War troops that were formed and organized here in Atlanta when General Sherman required the city. Well, that was a message from him. And we will also be having our next food distribution at Israel Baptist Church the first week in May is our targeted date. You can catch updates on Councilmember Bond's Facebook page. We will also be co-sponsoring a men's healthcare event with Antonio Lewis's office on June 14th at Roselle Fan Recreational Center before Father's Day. Also, we will be having a proclamation on Monday, April the 21st, in the council chambers. You all are welcome to come. I thought I had a name on here, but I dropped the flyer in the chat. If anyone has any additional questions or concerns or questions, particularly for the council member, I'll be happy to take them at this time.
Okay, thank you. There are a couple hands raised. Charlie?
Yes, thank you very much for being here. I texted Councilmember Bond asking if he had 5 to 10 minutes available for discussion on a big issue that we're facing here around Amsterdam Walk. Can you ask him to try to find those 5 or 10 minutes and respond to the text, please?
I surely will. And your name is?
Charlie Kaften, Kaften.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Alex?
Yep. Ms. Madison, is Mr. Bond planning to move the tree protection ordinance on Monday or during the next committee cycle?
He didn't say. I'm not 100% sure. I can find out for you.
I'll see him on Monday. So I'm hope. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Lori Marion?
Yes, I just wanted to briefly introduce myself. I am working in the Office of Commissioner Rochelle Long Spears, District 2 from DeKalb County, and just wanted to, I'm basically here to observe right now. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for being here. We have
Hi.
a small part of our NPUs in the Commissioner's District. Not big, but small already. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amber.
Mhm.
All right, if there is nothing else, we are now going to move to our matters for voting, starting off with the consent agenda. And this is our opportunity to use the raise your hand function to vote. There are several items on the consent agenda. And as I mentioned at the beginning, these items will all be bundled together with a single vote. With the consent agenda, it needs to be unanimous. If it's not, then the items come off the consent agenda and they go back in their regular places on the full agenda. Under BZA applications, there are two, both in Morningside, V2569, which is 1689 Lenox Road Northeast. The applicant seeking a special exception from the zoning ordinance to allow for active recreation in the required rear yard and in a yard adjacent to the street. And two, a variance to reduce the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 14 feet. MLPA reported that they conducted a site plan, neighbors were notified, there was no opposition, and the MLPA board approved unanimously. MLPA is recommending approval. The next item on the consent agenda is V2574, 1895 Wellborn Drive Northeast. Applicant seeks a variance from the zoning ordinance to reduce the south side yards from the required 10 feet to 0 feet, and that's for a carport. MLPA reported they conducted a site plan. Neighbors were notified, no neighbor opposition, and the MLPA board voted unanimously. They are also recommending approval. Are those applicants present?
Yes, I'm here for the 1895 Wellborn.
Okay. And
Yes, and this is Lucinda Bray. I'm here for 1669 Lenox Road.
okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Special events. We have a number, thank goodness. The first is Indigenous House Atlanta. It's a Class E event, 1,999 participants in Piedmont Park, May 18th. The recommendation is to support. Is John Dennis here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
Recording in progress.
Okay, make sure y'all are on mute. Okay, next is ATL Greenhouse, Class E, 700 participants in Piedmont Park, July 12th. Recommendation is to support. Is Daryl Terry here? Daryl, I see your name on the list, but you need to come on screen. Okay. Next, Joining Hearts.
Can you see me?
I can see you now. Thank you.
Okay. I was trying to click on.
Okay. Joining Hearts 38, Class E, 900 participants. This is a recurring event, Piedmont Park at Greystone and Aquatic Center on July 26th. And the recommendation is to support.
Yep, Jerry's here.
Jerry's here. Great. Thanks, Jerry. Next, this is a new event for us, I think. SMART BTA Stop the Violence Community Fair, Class E, 700 participants in Piedmont Park, August 23rd. Recommendation is to support. Is Brenda here or someone representing this application? Okay, I don't see your name on the list. Okay. And the last is Atlanta Out of the Darkness Walk. This is a Class D event. 4,500 participants in Piedmont Park, November 2nd. It's a one-day event and the recommendation is to support. Is Chelsea Platt here or someone that's representing?
Hi there, this is Chelsea. I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. So, as you all know, special events representatives are required to be here by ordinance. Is there anyone here who wants to have one of these applications removed from the consent agenda so that it can be discussed in the regular place on the consent agenda? Is there an applicant here who wants to have their application discussed at this meeting? And is there anyone here who is in opposition to any of these recommendations? All righty, I don't see any hands raised or anyone opposed to it. So may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda after removing the SMART BTA Stop the Violence Community Fair? That applicant's not present, so we need to remove it. Is there a motion?
I'm sorry, Debbie. I move to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, did I miss the
Second, Kevin Cronin.
Kevin, thank you. Okay. So we're going to take a hand vote, and this is your opportunity to find your raise your hand icon. If you're in favor of the motion to recommend approval for these applications minus SMART BTA Stop the Violence, please raise your hand. You raise your hand by using the raise your hand icon. It's found on some screens by clicking on more with the 3 dots, and you'll see the word react at the top. If you click on that, you'll see raise your hand. Is there anyone here that can't find that? Sometimes it's up at the top. Okay. Is anyone having trouble with the raise your hand? Okay. All right, the number has stopped moving. So I see 25 ayes.
Yeah. 26, I think, Debbie. We've got a two.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
For in there.
26 is right. Thanks, Tom. Okay. I'm going to clear that feedback. Is there anyone opposed to approving the consent agenda? Okay, I don't see any hands raised. So that's 0 nays. By a vote of 26 ayes and 0 nays, the consent agenda is approved. And if your application is on the consent agenda, no further action will be taken on it. So if you would like to leave the meeting, feel free. Okay. The next item on the agenda is, and we're going to do this a little bit out of order, but is V24 225 amended. This is 816 Adair Avenue Northeast. It's on the under Board of Zoning Adjustment applications. This application was sent back to the NPU by the Board of Zoning Adjustment. That doesn't happen very often, but from time to time they will ask that the NPU reconsider an application after changes have been made. Both the application and the site plan have been amended with changes. and which is one of the reasons why it was referred back. The BZA staff did not make a recommendation at the originally scheduled BZA hearing in March and instead requested a deferral. So no action has been taken by the BZA or any form of deliberation on this application. Since the NPU has already made an application on this number, application number V24225, but no action's been taken, we should first consider if the NPU wants to rescind or reconsider our previous vote of denial. And depending on the outcome of that motion, then we can talk about the actual merit of the application itself. So may I have a motion to reconsider the January recommendation, which was to deny V24225?
I so move. It's Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, and who is the voice for second?
Wiley, second.
Thank you. Okay. So a motion's been made, properly seconded, to reconsider the January recommendation to deny V24225. Is there any discussion on the motion itself to deny? This is only on the motion, not on the merits of the application. If you have any discussion, please raise your hand. Christy Solomon?
I'm a little unclear. Does that mean this is where we're going to object to it, or have I not reached the right point?
Okay, so if the motion to reconsider carries, then we will have a discussion on the merits of the application, and then a vote will be taken to either support that recommendation or to oppose it. If the motion to deny, rescind the denial does not carry, then our original recommendation will stand.
Okay, thanks.
Everybody got that? We don't do, as I said, we don't do this very often, so I want to make sure everyone understands what we're doing here. Okay, any other questions or comments regarding the motion to rescind? All right, a motion's been made. It has been seconded to rescind the January recommendation to deny this application. All those in favor of the motion to reconsider or rescind, please raise your hand. And a reminder, if you have a financial interest. Okay, I'm scrolling through the hand raises, and one of the hands is very faint. Joe Windish, is your hand up? Just want to be sure. I can barely see your little hand.
It is. I don't know why you don't see it.
I think you chose a kind of a light color. Maybe that's why. Everybody else is okay. Has everyone voted that wants to vote on this motion?
Is the property owner voting?
I don't see her name. Remind me who the property owner is?
The hand was up, but it went down. It was for Nisha Mossing.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Okay.
There is a homeowner voting.
Well, there's a lot of homeowners voting for this particular property.
For this particular property.
And who would that be?
Robert Mossing.
No, he just took his name down. Okay. Are we good?
So I am confused.
All right. How can I help with the confusion?
The last time we were at the NPU and the NPU voted against this application, a BZA date was set for March, and then it was pushed to May. So
Right.
they've made no determination
That's right.
on this. Yeah.
Right.
So how
Instead,
could they send? Yeah, and what is the process of sending it back to the NPU? How would anyone be made aware of that?
um, through the chair and the agenda. So I notified the neighborhood and the applicant that the application had been sent back. The adjacent neighbors were also made aware of the application sending back. The BZA does have that authority. They have done it on occasion. It doesn't happen very often with this NPU, but it does happen from time to time. So we're doing what we were requested to do. They're the final decision makers on the application, so we're just following procedure, but we're also ensuring that the NPU has an opportunity to say, no, we don't want to change our recommendation, or we'll reconsider it, given that the application and the site plan had changed. Does that help?
Okay, I follow you. Yeah, I follow you so far. And then on what criteria do you need to make that decision whether to hear it or not? Is it just the fact that a amendment had been made?
Well, that's the
Or
BZA telling
yes,
us.
I'm sorry, what? I'm
That's
sorry.
the BZA that's telling us that we need to look at it again, or ask us to consider looking at it again. Many applications change after they come to the NPU. As I've said, it's very rare for the application to come back to us when changes are made, but the BZA, for whatever reason, it could be new staff, hard to say, but they've asked us to reconsider it. So that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah, yeah, and being a adjacent homeowner and seeing the amended application versus the original application and seeing how minimal that is, I'm surprised that we're here again today.
Okay, you and me both.
Okay, got it.
I'm
Okay,
you and
now
me.
I'm clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I count 20 ayes. Is that
I've got 20 here.
okay? Good. Thanks. Now let me lower the hands. And if you're opposed to reconsidering our recommendation of denial, please raise your hand. If you're opposed to the recommendation, please raise your hand.
I show 9 opposed.
And that's what I'm counting as well. So by a vote of 20 ayes and 9 nays, the motion to reconsider or rescind the January recommendation carries. So we're now going to open up the floor to the applicant to discuss what changes have been made to the application. And then we did not kick this back to the neighborhood. So after that presentation, we will hear from the adjacent neighbors and go from there. Pam, do you want to tell us what's different about your application?
Sure. Okay. So we decided not to do the port cochere that we had shown before. And so that is what kind of instigated all this, because once we took the port cochere off, we were able to move the house to the east a foot and not require that variance anymore. And then that also, because it's no longer totally covered, it's just got the driving strips. We reduced the lot coverage from 50 to 51%. So the other so the total, all of the variances now are the same. The front yard is the same. We were asking to reduce from 35 to 21 feet. The east side yard was, we were requesting 6 inches so that we could build the portico share, and we took that off and went to 3 feet for the but because we still need that for the carriage house. And then we reduced the rear yard setback from 50 to 6 feet, which was originally what we had asked for the second round. And then increasing lot coverage from 50 to 51%. I can share my screen and show you the actual drawings here, I think.
I believe that there's no longer a request to reduce the west side yard.
That's correct. And we changed the east side yard from 6 inches to 3 feet. And then 50%, 51% lot coverage from 53. And then the rear yard from 15 to 6. So let me find my presentation here. I think this is it. Okay. So, so this is the new site plan. And so the portico share is gone and we use the driving strips instead. We moved this over a foot, so we're not needing a variance here. And everything else is saying 3 feet for this. And we've also added, one of our agreements in January with the neighbors was that we would go ahead and have the stormwater management designed so that they could feel comfortable that we weren't going to be having a problem with controlling our stormwater. So this is that civil engineer's drawings for that. You can see he did a study of the entire contributing area of the for the water on this drawing, and then his details for it's kind of standard details for the rain garden. So that's our new proposal.
Okay. So the request, just so everyone's has a clear understanding, the request for the variances is actually different than the caption that is now on the agenda.
Right, that's an old request, and they didn't update it. The city didn't update it when they sent it to you.
And I spent a good bit of today trying to get it updated, but unfortunately, nobody was around. Okay, questions? Rich Sussman?
Yeah, I'm still not clear on what you're asking. Let me read this. So reduce the front yard setback from 35 feet to 21 feet. That stays, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Take out number 2, correct? Reduce the
Yes,
west side
that's
yard
correct.
setback.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Number 3, reduce the east side yard setback from 7 feet to 3 feet, correct?
Yeah, we were previously asking for 6 inches for the
Right.
portico shade.
Okay. Reduce the rear yard setback from 15 feet to
6 feet.
Okay, so that stays the same.
Yes.
Okay, and then the lot coverage goes from what to what?
We were requesting 53 and now we are requesting 51.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for clarifying. Okay, Jane Rice? And remember, try and keep your comments down to 2 minutes.
Jane, I think you're muted. I can't hear anything.
And I'm going to start the timer.
Okay, thanks, Kevin.
Jane, you're muted.
I stopped the timer.
Jane,
Jane, you're muted.
I can't see her face.
I can't see.
Sure. Okay, well, let's move on to the next person and then maybe we can get her fixed. Christy Solomon.
Good evening. I live behind 816 Adair. This is, as everyone knows, this is the second time at the NPU, and that we had already voted against the variance request. I feel like dropping one variance should not result in a revote. There are still many concerns, and I can't cover them all in just 2 minutes. We still are in opposition of the size and layout of a large home on a small lot. Even if this is a 9,000 square foot lot, they would still need variances. The variances are based on preference, not hardship, and are therefore self-imposed. The idea that the stormwater pipe is creating a hardship or unique circumstance with respect to the placement of the garage is unfounded. Placing the garage as far back as possible is simply a preference and therefore also self-imposed. According to zoning laws, to claim the pipe as an unnecessary hardship, they have to prove it. The applicant has not demonstrated that strict adherence to the zoning ordinance would cause undue hardship. The property is usable if you remain in the buildable area. The hardship cannot be self-imposed. The size and the layout of the home far exceed the constraints of the pipe and are simply a design preference. The stormwater pipe is not a unique or exceptional situation and is generally understood in our neighborhood. The applicant lives next door and also has the pipe. This was no surprise and therefore also not a special circumstance. Requests to move the garage closer to the home were denied, stating that the carport would prevent them from being able to use the garage. Now that the carport is dropped, there is ample space to move the garage closer to the house without infringing on the pipe or the easement. Lastly, the variance must not negatively impact the surrounding neighborhood, and clearly the opposing neighbors have proven the variances to be a negative. Applicants.
Time's up.
Thanks, Christy. Kevin, your hand is raised.
Yes, and I started my timer. I'm the Virginia Highland Planning Chair. We previously, on the more dense site plan, we actually voted to support that from the board, 8-2. Certainly, I think the owners have worked and mitigated two the larger issues there. And I feel like they, this should move forward. We were previously supporting that before, so I commend Pam and the owners for working to try to minimize this and certainly get the lot coverage down lower. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Okay, Jane Rice, you want to try again? Make sure you turn off your.
Yes, I was locked up. I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I'm still vehemently opposed to this variance vote or application. I've done several different calculations and I have two major points. One is that they're coming within 14 feet of the sidewalk. There is no other house. I've surveyed 35 houses. There's no other house that comes anywhere near that distance to the sidewalk. It's blocking my view completely. It's 15 feet in front of my corner of my house where my screen porch is. So, and I am not a house that sits back very far. I'm the third shortest house of the 35. So for them to cut the lawn in the front to half of what my lawn is a significant change to how this looks in the neighborhood. This will be significant. It's 30 feet tall. It blocks completely my view out of the side of the screen porch, and it will impact the entire street. The 35 houses, 10 of them are from 24 to 30 feet back. Nobody is even close to the values. They're 13 feet in on one of them. Let's see, on the average distance of the house to the sidewalk. And the porch is 10 feet in further to the sidewalk than any other of these 35 houses. And I didn't screen out any of the 35 houses. I just went up and down the street. So this is a significant imposition on the entire street. My second point is we had a tremendous rain 8 days ago. So I redid the calculations for how much water would come down in this rainstorm and how much water they would have to mitigate. It would be about 11,000 gallons. And if you take the biggest rain square footage, which is 385 from her plan, you would have to go 2.5 feet down with nothing in there, an empty void, 22 feet in diameter, 25 feet down. A swimming pool would be filled. So there's something wrong with the water calculations. Thank you.
Okay, Andy Solomon.
Yes, thank you. My name's Andy Solomon. Christy Solomon, who gave that excellent presentation, is my wife. I'd like to attach the amended plan to the group chat. How do I do that? And also I want to attach a secondary document. Okay. So everyone has it. That's the plan, the amended plan as it exists. That Pam just reviewed with us. In juxtaposition, it's in the group chat.
Group chat.
Yep.
Jane, I'm going to
Just
keep.
so everyone has it. Yep.
How do I get the group chat?
Okay. So one
Okay.
is.
And I've also, yep. And I've also put into juxtaposition the that plan, without the quarter the drive, the carport, and outline the buildable area. Our contention is there's still room within the buildable area to put the garage.
I've got it on my screen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everyone can explore this on their own time. The pipe easement is self-proclaimed.
10 seconds
Yep.
left.
That's it. Just look at the documents. It speaks for itself. And compare the stormwater plan and see how they violate their own claimed easements. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Jack White.
Trying to get rid of, there it is. Thanks, Debbie. I share some of the abstract values that are being expressed here by some of the neighbors. They would prefer not to have their views blocked. They would prefer that pipes underground didn't count. They would prefer that the city of Atlanta not begin the calculation with the notion that if your lot is undersized, you have a hardship. It's been that way for 30 something years, ever since I've been involved in planning and zoning here. But the fact is, those are not in law. None of those are in law. And they're routinely, all of those are routinely seen as hardships by the city of Atlanta. And there is no reason, there are many exceptions to putting your house forward, whatever I think about it. My lovely neighbors, whom I really very much like and get along with, raised their second floor and took me out of the tomato growing business. But them's the breaks. There's no law against doing that. There's no viewscape laws. The pipes, there have been 2 cases in the city of Atlanta in the last 3 months, one in Sherwood Forest, one in Kirkwood, in which the city, the Bureau of Zoning Adjustment, granted easements based on the presence of pipes that very much resembled those in this case. That is, they bisected the lot parallel to the street. we don't have precedents in zoning, contrary to what you may hear occasionally on other topics here. We don't have precedents on variances, but those are examples of principles that the planning department of the city of Atlanta is using to make their recommendations and that the BZA is using to make them. There is nothing normal about that.
Jack, you have 10 seconds left.
Thank you, Kevin. There are other examples of it that have adversely affected many landowners here. So I'll watch this with interest, but I am quite certain that the BZA is likely to approve this. And I wish folks would take into account the pressures on Kevin and the planning committee, who are obligated to make that consideration as they make recommendations, not the personal preferences. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Jack. And Mary Kate Bullen or James Bullen?
Hi, yeah, it's Mary Kate. And I'm sorry, it won't let me turn my video back on for some reason. It says the host has stopped it. So apologies for that. Appreciate the committee's extra time and the whole neighborhoods for taking the extra time here. I think the thing that I wanted to underscore here is that while this was voted on and there's been some adjustments to the variance, the neighbors who are dialed in today and others, we were ready to discuss modifications and to try and come to a conclusion that could be a little bit more amenable to everyone in a manner that I think we've been accustomed to the VHCA planning committee facilitating and supporting in the past, including on my own property. And with the proponents, the Mossings being the only objectors at that time. I wish that had happened, and I take it at face value that Mr. Cronin said the committee has worked with them and is pleased with the changes. The reality is we as neighbors heard in January after the strong 19-13, I think it was, vote against this. The only thing that they were willing to give up was 1 foot. And that was all we heard for approximately 6-8 weeks until 2 weeks ago, which is almost 7 weeks after that plan was submitted on February 19th, saying that the court care share was coming off. So I just want to point that out because it's hard for us to feel like things are being taken at face value and in good faith discussed with us when there's silence, a lack of willingness to engage, and when the process on this property is so different than what we've experienced on our own properties. And on that specific item, we have installed around $50,000 to $60,000 of dry wells on our property to address the Mossings' concerns. And that was specifically because they said rain gardens were insufficient to mitigate new impervious surfaces. So it is a little bit surprising to see that be the mitigation that's being mentioned from them, and which isn't even contingent on their plan in the same way that we made it contingent on our own variance. So we're not treating each other fairly as neighbors here. And that isn't just neighbor to neighbor across the fence here, the nice new fence that it is. It's also with the way that the planning committee has addressed how they're working with neighbors and property owners in this process. And I agree with Jack. There's a lot of preference that comes into this, and I prefer that we engage in a really neighborly manner to address concerns holistically. I prefer that we do that, and I prefer that we not have multiple variances when they are themselves also a matter of preference for what is still quite a big build on the property. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, the last hand I see raised is Charlie Captain.
Yeah, I'm not a neighbor next to this property, but just listening to the conversation, I have some concerns. It sounds like the argument that's being made by the Virginia Highlands Planning Committee and Jack White is that because the BZA is likely to approve this anyway, then we just automatically have to go along with that. I mean, if that's the case, then why bother going through this kind of a discussion? So either the NPU has a legitimate right to have its own opinion, and yes, maybe it gets overturned by the BZA, but that's not the issue. The issue is, what do the neighbors think is in the best interest of the community? Is this just preferences that this owner would like to make, which are going to have significant impact in the community, and whether the sentiment of the NPU is that this should not be approved, and then let the process run its course. But we shouldn't be voting here that because we think the BZA is going to approve it, we have to approve it. I mean, that's nonsense.
Okay, thanks. Okay, one more hand popped up. Robert Mossing.
Yeah, just to make sure that everyone has our homeowner view, we're an adjacent neighbor to the property and we actually are the ones that are doing the build. We have worked really hard with all of our neighbors to try to accommodate, and we've made an accommodation on almost everything that they have asked over the last 6 months. And we do have adjoining neighbors that do support it, right? But there's a lot of pressure from the neighbors that are on the call that oppose it, that are keeping people from wanting to speak up. So we have been very flexible. We've made tons of changes. We've spent money ahead of time to do water mitigation because we are concerned about water mitigation. And the carriage house that's in the back is the exact same size as the Bolins, which was already approved by previous neighbors. So we appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. So if there's no other discussion, is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve V 24-225 816 Adair Avenue to reduce the east side yard setback from 7 feet to 3 feet, reduce the rear yard setback from 15 feet to 6 feet, and increase the lot coverage from 50% to 51%.
Okay, and I think we're also going to have to include the front yard setback from 35 feet to 21 feet.
I'm sorry, I forgot that one there.
That's okay. Okay, so motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom.
I'll second it.
Or let Wiley second, I guess.
Okay. I've got it. Alrighty. Motion's been made. It has been seconded. It's important that we know what we're approving, since what we're approving is not what is captioned on the agenda. So let me just read it one last time. The motion is to recommend approval of V 24-225 amended with the following variance requests: reduce the front yard setback from 35 feet to 21 feet, reduce the east side yard setback from 7 feet to 3 feet, reduce the rear yard setback from 15 feet to 6 feet, and increase the lot coverage from 50% to 51%. All right. Is there any discussion on the motion? If there's no discussion on the motion, can we vote? And I just would like to point out, Amy Waterman, there's 2 of you. So one of you needs to correct a name, or neither one of your votes will count. Amy? Okay, I'm not seeing any movement there. So if you're in favor of the motion to approve the variances, please raise your hand.
Point of order, I think the homeowner cannot vote for themselves.
And that's
Correct.
right, the homeowner cannot vote.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not seeing the number change anymore, so I count 17. Is that what you're getting, Tom?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay. Let me clear the feedback. If you're opposed to the motion to recommend approval of those variances, please raise your hand. If you're opposed to the motion, please raise your hand. 15, 16, 17.
I think I got Oh, it's still changing.
I have 17.
Yeah, 17. That includes Amy's, and it looks like she's removed one of her logins.
Okay.
This is Frances Johnston. Did you also include my husband?
Yes, we have you for 2.
Yep.
Thank you.
That little 2 helps us make sure that we're counting it. Okay. By a vote, of 17 ayes and 17 nays, the motion does not carry. And I voted with the ayes originally, so I don't have an option to break the tie. Okay. Is there another motion? Is there another motion? Jane? Jane, unmute yourself, please.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what motion to make.
Well, okay, so Rich, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to deny the amended variance application.
I second that emotion.
Oh, okay.
Second that motion.
Jane, we're getting a lot of feedback here, so I'm going to have to keep you on mute. Okay. Rich and Jane. All right, the motion is to deny. We don't need all the variance stuff since this is just a flat out denial. I see lots of hands raised. I haven't called for the vote yet, but are you all voting?
You never lowered our hands after we voted against it.
Okay. All righty. I'm clearing the feedback. All right. All those in favor of the motion to deny, please raise your hand. Okay, I'm counting 18. Is that,
Read.
pardon me? You agree? Okay, good. 18 ayes. All right, I'm going to lower the hand and feedback. All right, all those in that are opposed to the motion to recommend denial, please raise your hand. Okay.
Got 18 again, Debbie.
Is that including the property owner again?
Yeah, Robert Mosing was voting. Mossing, rather, sorry.
Yeah, Robert, I'm sorry you can't vote.
$15 with a double, 16.
Okay, it's 16 nays by a vote of 18 ayes and 16 nays. The motion to recommend denial stands. is approved. Doug, do you have all of that? There'll be a test.
I do, Debbie. I just recorded the motion that passes, so I have the vote for the recommendation name for denial.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it sounds like y'all have the BZA date. As you know, you have 10 minutes for to speak to state your case to oppose the application. And the BZA is pretty strong on keeping that time frame. Okay, that concludes that application. The next one is, I think I'm going to turn this over to Wiley. Do you want to do 904 Plymouth Road?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
This is V2558.
Your sound isn't great, Wiley.
I know it's, I'm sorry. If you want to do it, if I can't hear, I lost my earbuds, and so I don't have.
Yeah, you keep fading out. All right, then I'll do it. V2558 904 Plymouth Road Northeast. This is in Morningside. The applicant seeks a special exception from the zoning ordinances to one, allow for active recreation in a yard adjacent to a street, and two, increase the height of the fence with more than 50% opacity, which is actually a wall, in the half-depth front yard from the required 4 feet to 6 feet. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Okay, Robert, do you want to tell us what you're going to do?
Yeah. Oh, it says I can't start video because it's disabled.
I don't know, that shouldn't be.
I can also share my screen too, but
Okay, I have no idea how to fix that. So why don't you go ahead and share your screen?
yeah, I'll just do that. You can see the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
really
so we're-
tiny, so you'll need to blow it up.
Oh, yeah, let me see if I can. Yeah, so we're looking for the special exception basically to build a swimming pool. This is an R4 lot, but it is a corner lot, so there is a street frontage on one side. Basically, we're siting the pool in the backyard and the flat area, trying to keep it behind the house completely and just, keep it as working with the site grade as much as possible. And then also on a street frontage, we were not able to do a privacy fence on that side, but I think our argument is we want the privacy and safety for the swimming pool, so we're looking for a special exception to have a 6-foot height solid privacy fence, just to be able to fully enclose the pool and not have any street frontage looking into the pool area.
Okay, Morningside. You want to tell us about your vote? Leslie?
Oh, hi, everyone. Yes, we reviewed this as a zoning committee and then we presented it and discussed it earlier this week as an MPLA board and neighborhood. And we voted unanimously to approve the proposal of the use of a swimming pool and the location as they've shown it. But we voted unanimously to deny the request to increase the height of the fence from 4 to 6 feet. The argument being that we side with the overall city zoning rules in keeping yards that are considered front yards at 4 feet. We want to avoid a neighborhood when you're walking around and enjoying the neighborhood. You don't want to be surrounded by tall walls like you're in an alley. Here specifically, the lot slopes down to the street. While there isn't a sidewalk, everyone walks all the time on the street. And so adding another 2 feet, it's not as though the street is flush or at grade with where this fence is going to be built. So it's already creeping up, and adding another 2 feet, we believe will create that alley or wall-like experience. And instead, we're encouraging the neighbor and applicant to consider planting taller trees in the green area between the fence or on the outside of their fence. Thank you.
Thanks. Do you have a motion? Do you want to make a motion? Does anyone want to make a motion? And then we'll discuss the application.
I'll make a motion. Make a motion to support the recommendation of the MLPA Planning Committee to approve the pool but deny the variance on the fence.
Okay. All righty. Is there a second?
Marla, I'll second.
Thank you, Marla. Okay. Discussion on the application and the motion. Does anyone have any questions? Tom Schwab.
Thanks, Debbie. You guys mentioned that there's a grade from the street to where the fence begins, that the house is, or the fence is already above the street level. How much of that, what's that height difference on that grade? Approximately.
On the left side, there's no height difference, but then on the right, it's 30 inches.
Okay.
So that's actually there's a retaining wall that runs along the side of the house, and the retaining wall starts, I think, flush with the driveway, and then as it moves away, it's 30 inches. So the thought was a 6-foot fence on top of the retaining wall, and then on top of a 2-foot elevation from the street level is pretty high. And we think with the retaining wall and the fence on top of it, if you're standing from the street, it'd be hard to see over that into the pool area.
Thank you.
Okay, Rich Sussman.
Sort of on that question, where is the street on this map?
The street is right here.
Right here. Okay, so basically you're looking up from the street towards the house. Is that correct?
Correct.
If
If you see the slopes at the bottom, Robbie, maybe point like it starts, if you see the 876, and then as it goes to the driveway, it's 878 and then 880. So it's kind of sloping in different directions, but it's when you're at the street, the site's already going up away from you.
So the house is above street level.
Correct.
Okay, thanks. I understand where the fence is now. It's just difficult to see it initially. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? Any questions about the application or about the motion? So the motion is to support the recommendation of MLPA, which is to recommend approval of the pool, which is the active recreation in a yard adjacent to a street, but to deny the increase in the fence from 4 feet to 6 feet. All right, if you're in favor of that motion, please raise your hand. Okay, has everyone voted? I see 11 ayes. Let me lower your hands. Okay, if you're opposed to the motion to approve the pool but not the fence, please raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. So by a vote of 11 ayes and 0 nays, the motion to approve the pool but not the fence carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Levy.
Thanks.
Okay, now we're going to the fun part. We're at the ZRB application. It may be a little difficult to sort this out, and this is where the agenda is totally messed up. There is several parcels of properties in the Druid Hills neighborhood which are being annexed into NPU-F. It's adjacent to Emory University. And we have 3 actions that we need to vote on tonight. The first is an amendment to the Druid Hills Landmark Historic District to create a new sub area called University Park into that ordinance. NPU-F has a very small part already of the landmark district, and this is just adding another sub area to it. So we need to approve that first. After we do that, we have been asked to approve the conversion of the landmark designation for this area. And that will be the second ordinance, which is under land uses. 23-0-1659, CDP 2325. And after that, we are asked to approve the zoning designation for these properties. Now, usually when we do a annexation, it's a easier conversion. It's changing residential property. This is a little bit different. So we're lucky to have Doug here tonight to help us through this. We're going to start with a text amendment. I had all this laid out. The text amendment, did it go? The last page. To create that's the third. That's the second. Okay. Z2498, I think. Which is an ordinance by Councilmember Juan as substituted to amend Chapter 20B, Druid Hills Historic Landmark District of the Atlanta zoning ordinance, so as to create a new sub area entitled University Park and to enact specific development controls within said sub area, in addition to the general development controls that apply throughout the landmark district and for other purposes. Doug, is there anything else that we need to know about this ordinance?
Good evening, Debbie. I'm actually not able to turn my video on either, so I'm not sure what's up with that. But no, that is the one of the steps involved in this annexation. Just for quick background, once again, my name is Doug Young, the director of the Office of Design. which includes one of the functions is including the City of Atlanta's Historic Preservation Ordinance. Before I had my current job, I used to manage the city's historic preservation program for many years. So in the case of this annexation, the zoning category that is being considered is a landmark district zoning category, which is not unlike other zoning categories in the city of Atlanta. It has a chapter in the zoning code. It happens to be chapter 20, subsection of chapter 20, but it is a code of zoning district you can be zoned into, just like you can be zoned into R5 or any other zoning category we have in the city of Atlanta. So that's the request here. I do believe, Madam Chair, that the applicant is on the call as well. And he can certainly add something as well if you would like.
Yeah.
At your discretion, sorry.
Jeff Haymore, is there anything that you want to add?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. So my name is Jeff Haymore. I'm an attorney at the law firm of Dillard Sellers. We were asked to help the property owner, and this property is the University Inn there on North Decatur, annex into the city of Atlanta. And through discussions with Councilmember Juan, through DeKalb County and the Druid Hills Civic Association, the proposal before you, as was stated, was to zone this property into a new sub-area within Druid Hills Landmark District. And so the regulations have been introduced. They largely come from the regulations that would be in DeKalb County if it were in the Druid Hills Landmark District there. And then they've been sort of formatted for easy reference into Chapter 20, as Doug pointed out. And so we would ask for your support to rezone our property upon annexation into this new sub-area called University Park, as well as approve the companion land use paper. The land use category would be office institutional, like it is in DeKalb, and residential for the one property that's on Emory Drive.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Alrighty. So the first thing we need to do is to create the new sub area so that it has a place to sit once it's rezoned. Is there a motion?
So moved, madam. Yes, I think I understand what we're doing.
Okay. All right, so Rich is making a motion to recommend approval of the creation of the new sub area. Is there a second?
Second, Kevin Cronin.
Thank you.
And just to be clear, Madam Chair, you are referencing Z2598, correct?
Yeah, except that that may not be the correct number. So Daniel and I are working on that. And Kieta, who is not in the office.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind that it may not necessarily be correct.
I'll put in the description what the subject matter is.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So motion's been made to recommend approval of the ordinance to create a new sub area. Let me say it that way. It's been properly seconded. Are there any questions about the creation of the sub area? Okay, I don't see any hands raised. So this is an annexation. We do need to take a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, if you're in favor, please raise your hand. I don't see the numbers change. I see 10 ayes.
Yeah.
Okay, let me lower your hands. All right, if you're opposed to the motion to create a new sub area in the Druid Hills Landmark Historic District, please raise your hand. Okay, I see no hands raised. So by a vote of 10 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries. All right, the next piece of this annexation is to convert the DeKalb County land use designation to a City of Atlanta land use designation. This is 23-0-1659 or CDP 2325. It is also an ordinance by Councilmember Juan to amend the land use element in the CDP to designate the property located at 1767, 1775, 1779, and 1785 North Decatur Road to OI, Office Institutional, and 465 Emery Drive to the single family residential land use designation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second, Tom.
Rich Sussman and Tom. Okay. Are there any questions about this motion and this land use amendment for the conversion? Okay. We do need to vote on this. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Counting 8 ayes. And let me roll it. All right. And if you're opposed to the conversion, please raise your hand. If you're opposed to this recommended conversion. Okay, I don't see any hands raised, so that's 0 nays. So by a vote of 8 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries. Okay, now we are going back to a ZRB application, Z2518. Maybe, not sure if that code's right. We have created the sub area. We have created, or we have converted the land use. We are now going to make a recommendation on the rezoning of the application. And this is an ordinance to zone property at 1767, 1775, 1779, and 1785 North Decatur Road and 465 Emery Drive Northeast to the University Park sub-area of the Druid Hills Landmark District zoning classification, and to retain existing conditions of zoning as imposed by the DeKalb County Board of Commissioners until January 1st, 2026, to waive certain provisions of Chapter 20, Historic and Cultural Conservation Districts of the City of Atlanta Ordinance and for other purposes. Doug or Jeff, is there anything that you want to add there?
Not unless there are any questions. The caption pretty well captures the intent of the ordinance.
Okay.
Same.
Great, thank you. All right. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve. Tom?
Thank you, Tom
Second, Kevin.
and Kevin. Okay. Any questions about this application? All righty. If there's no questions, then we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, I count 8. 8 ayes.
8 ayes, huh?
8 ayes. All right. I'm lowering hands. If you're opposed to this zoning conversion, please raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any hands raised or anyone fiddling. So by a vote of 8 ayes and 0 nays, the motion to approve the legislation carries. Thank you. Thank you all for working with this. This is confusing.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff, for being here. Alrighty. We're back to the land use amendments, CDP. The next is CDP 2510 or 25-0-1133. This is to adopt the Trails ATL plan as the cities of Atlanta's master plan for a citywide network of trails to incorporate the Trails ATL plan into the comprehensive development plan, also known as Plan A. If you recall, last month we had a presentation on Trails ATL plan in preparation for this vote to incorporate it into the CDP. Eric Ganther.
Yes.
Do you have a very brief presentation? Like
I do.
Okay.
Very brief. I know last time there was a lot because there is a lot, but let's see what we can do here. I want to a quick refresher for y'all. If I may share my screen here. Do a little slideshow. All right. So this is the citywide plan for trails. And when we say trails, we're talking an all ages network, all ages, all physical abilities. So 8 years old to 80 years old, whether you can walk or you're in a wheelchair, you're pushing a stroller or a walker. Everybody, the Trails ATL is for all Atlantans. Now, Trails ATL, what we're doing, this is an expansion of the city's existing trail network. Today, we've got 80 miles of trail. And the Trails ATL plan is for a citywide network, 420 miles additional to our existing network of trails. And to do that, of course, that's a many-year project. This is a master plan, a citywide master plan. It's a vision for the future. Think of this as a 30-year plan. If we were to go back 30 years, that's when the Beltline concept was being born. And here we are at a point where we can see the end of that. So fast forward 30 years is when we would hope that most of this would be built. And so here we are, Trails ATL and NPU-F. So phase 1 trails and NPU-F, Virginia Trail, South Peachtree Creek Greenway extensions there. And then the Peachtree Creek Greenway in the very northern, just outside NPU-F, but something that could be useful for you all. The process here, we've got a June 4th public hearing at City Hall. Then the CDHS committee will vote on June 10. If they approve, then we go City Council on June 16th. This is included in the CDP. Then immediately prior, assuming that we are successful, hopefully we are, then we look at the zoning code update and how this information fits into the zoning code and into the comprehensive transportation plan. So I'll stop, and if anybody has any questions, I'm available.
Okay, does anyone have any questions regarding Trails ATL plan going into the CDP? Okay, I don't see any hands raised. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
I second the motion, Tom.
Thank you. Okay, any questions about the motion or about the incorporation of Trails ATL into the CDP? I see none, which suggests we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the motion to recommend approval of the plan. Oh, you guys are fast. Please raise your hand.
It's like we're
Okay.
up. Oh, there we go. 12.
All right, I see.
Oh, we lost one.
Oh,
I think we're at 11.
we're at 11. Okay, we'll call it 11. 11 ayes. All righty. If you're opposed to the incorporating the Trails ATL plan into the CDP, please raise your hand. Okay, I don't see anything. By a vote of 11 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries.
Thank you very much, everybody. That's an honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Now we're at text amendments. Z2482, it's a substitute ordinance. This is the ordinance by Councilmember Winston to amend the zoning ordinance. I'm skipping through here. Part 16, Chapter 34, Section 64-34.010 and Section 1634.028 to modify the provisions of the voluntary density program, bonus program in MRC zoning and for other purposes. If we had a presentation last month, and as a reminder, we provided the following feedback: that we need a better understanding of the process, at what point there is a request for a density bonus, and the role of the NPUs, especially when there are changes in plans negotiated with the community. Also, when are density bonuses initiated, before, during, or after rezoning processes? And we'd also like to know where the money for the bonus goes and how it'll be used, in the general account, in a trust fund, or whatever. Is there anyone from the city that can that wants to address this text amendment?
Hi, Debbie. It's Chanel again from the Office of Housing. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks, Chanel.
Good to see y'all. Okay, so if you could you read those questions back to me one at a time and I'll give the answers?
Okay, we needed a better understanding of the process, at what point there is a request for the density bonus, and the roles of the NPUs, especially when there are changes as a result in plans negotiated with the community.
Okay, so as you know, this is a zoning text amendment to offer a voluntary density bonus option to any parcel that has MRC3 zoning. So what that means is that it actually does tie back to your question about when does this occur. So if a parcel has as of right MRC3 zoning, MRC3 zoning, of which there are 2 parcels in NPU-F, if either of those parcels were to be redeveloped and submitted a site development plan to the Office of Buildings as part of a permitting process, at that point, they would indicate whether or not they would be seeking the density bonus.
Okay, that is for property that's already zoned MRC3. What about property that is industrial, for example, and wants to rezone to MRC3? Then what?
Great question. So just like any other of the voting matters that preceded us today, where our neighbors were seeking changes to their zoning, it would go through the same process. So that parcel would come before the NPU. They would state, obviously, what they were requesting in terms of the switch to MRC3 zoning, why they were proposing the rezoning, and then obviously at that point, the NPU would have the choice to recommend or not to recommend, just through its normal process.
Okay, and that includes recommending whether or not a density bonus would be granted.
No, the density bonus is as of right if they meet the affordability standard. That is the text amendment.
Okay, as of right. So that means that the property has to be MRC3 first before they, all right.
Yep, you got it.
And, okay. All right, the next question is, when are density bonuses initiated? And I think you just answered that question. Is there anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. And we'd like to know where the money goes.
Sure.
How it's used.
So the money is going to go into an in lieu fund that is set aside for MRC3 parcels. And it's actually going to be put into, it's the way that it's geographically organized. I'm not sure if you're familiar with how impact fees are organized in the city, but it will use the same geography as the impact fee geography.
Okay, so what does it mean for it to be in lieu?
Oh, so that means that if there is, so there's an option, right, for a parcel to basically either use the, to access the bonus, they can either have the bonus because by virtue of adding the affordable housing within their project, or they can take advantage of the density bonus by paying into the in lieu fund.
Okay, that doesn't answer my question, but because I don't understand what in lieu, what it, well, never mind. And the density bonus allows them to go up, right? They can build more.
It allows additional density. It actually does not change the height limits in MRC3. So you will have the same height limits. Your cat's very cute. You'll have the same height limits. You'll have the same transitional height planes. You will have the same max density caps. So you can take advantage of the additional density bonus, but you still have to comply with the other requirements of the zoning in the MRC3 district.
Okay. Ben Terry, do you have a question?
You said there were two parcels in NPU-F that are currently MRC3. What are those two parcels?
Sure. One of them is, I think we talked about this last time, is in the Emory portion. So it is I'm just trying to zoom in on this map for y'all. It is, give me a second. I think this is the biggest that I can make it. But you have a parcel that's right along the border of NPU-F, down on, I believe it's, we spoke about this last time, I think it was on Monroe. And then the other parcel is this larger parcel that's adjacent to Emory. And I'll just share my screen really quick to show you that, if that's okay. Okay, can you all see my screen?
There we go.
Yes.
Yes. So as you can see on the right there, it's outlined in red. So you've got that tiny parcel there just on the border of NPU-E and F. And then you have that larger parcel in the Emory area.
Chantel, if I may, it's Jack, that the first parcel is on the south, what would be the southeast corner of Drury at the Beltline, is it?
Yes. Yeah, actually, I believe that is the address. It's Drury Road.
Yeah, that's that small apartment building. Okay.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay. Then I'm going to lower your hand. All right. If there are no other questions, is there a motion? Does anyone want to make a motion?
Madam Chair, could you, I'm sorry, what would be appropriate in your view? I thought we went over, I'm sorry, could you pose the question for us here, please, ma'am?
Okay, so we are requested to make a recommendation on this ordinance.
I got it. Thank you. I move to approve.
Okay.
Thank you.
And,
second,
and second, that was Charlie?
Rich.
Rich, oh, I'm sorry, okay. Okay. All right, are there any additional questions regarding Z2482, the voluntary density bonus program at MRC3? If there are no other questions, it is time to vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Let's see the number changing. I count 5 ayes.
It just went to 6, Debbie.
Oh, okay. Thank you. 6 ayes. Okay. Let me lower these hands. All those opposed to the motion, please raise your hand. You're opposed to the motion to approve? Okay, I count 4.
Agreed.
Okay, so by a motion of, or by a vote of 6 ayes and 4 nays, the motion carries. And that is to recommend approval. Alrighty. Next application, we're gonna keep plugging along here, is Z2510. This is at the end of the text amendment list. An ordinance by a bunch of council members to require special use permits for data centers, to provide certain special use permit application requirements to address a proposed data center's water consumption, water conservation, energy consumption, and other environmental considerations, and for other purposes. This was also introduced at our March meeting. A comment that was made was that we would recommend a requirement to install solar panels on data centers to help with the energy consumption. Is there anyone from the city that's here to address this application or this text amendment? Does anyone have any comments or remember the discussion regarding data centers or has a special feeling about data centers that they want to share? I would only offer that requiring a special use permit means that it would come back to the community or the NPU for a vote. So there's a certain.
Madam Chair, I move approval for the reasons implied in the original request in the discussion last month.
Okay, good. Thanks, Jack. Is there a second?
Second, Kevin.
Kevin, okay. All righty, we're going to take a quick vote. All those in favor of the motion to recommend approval of the requirement for special use permits for data centers, please raise your hand. I count 12. Has everybody voted before we lock that down? Okay, I count 12. Alrighty, is there anyone opposed to requiring a special use permit for data centers? Okay, I don't see I don't see any hands raised. So by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries. All right. One last text amendment. This is only for review and comment. This is an ordinance by council members Bakhtiari, Winston, Faroki, Amos, Dozier, Wan, Shook, Hills, Boone, Overstreet, Norwood, Westmoreland, Bond, and Collins to amend the zoning ordinance to create a definition for vape shops in elementary and secondary schools, amend the regulations of various districts to establish a minimum distance of 1,000 feet between vape shops, amend the regulations of various districts so as to require 1,000-foot distance between vape shops and elementary and secondary schools and for other purposes. Is there anyone here from the city that wants to address this one before, or are there any comments from the community that we'd like to share with the city? Rich Sussman?
I'm wondering if there's any grandfathering in this, because I don't know if there are any vape shops currently that are 1,000 feet or less than 1,000 feet, but you know, like we have on Cheshire Bridge, we have a whole bunch of things that are grandfathered in. I'm wondering if this would, in fact, kick off something like that. If there were a vape shop that were 750 feet existing, would that be covered by an ordinance? I think the city has to think about that.
Yep, I agree. I've made a note. Any other comments? Okay. All righty. If we don't have to take a vote on this. If there are no other comments, I'll close the discussion. Okay. Alrighty, that is the end of the text amendments. That was a heavy lift for the NPU. We're now going to move to special events applications. The first application was on our consent agenda, the Smart BTA Stop the Violence Community Fair. The applicant was not present. Is there a motion to defer?
I'll make the motion to defer.
Second.
Okay. Are there any objections to deferring this application to next month? Hearing no objections, the application will be deferred. Okay, Pure Heat Community Festival. Is there, is Melissa Scott here or anyone representing the festival? Okay, I didn't think she was here. Is there a motion to defer?
I'll make a motion to defer.
Second.
Okay. Are there any objections to deferring this application? Alrighty then, that application has been deferred. Next application is One Music Fest 2025. Is there anyone here from One Music Fest? They're deferring at NPU-E, so I kind of suspect that they are deferring.
Move to defer.
Okay.
Second.
All right, Rich, and that was Tom, right?
Yep.
Okay. The motion is to defer. Are there any objections to deferring this application? Hearing none, or the application's been deferred without objections. And Atlanta Alive, Joseph Trumbull. Okay, this is deferred in February and March as well. Okay.
Sure.
All right, is there a motion to defer?
Yes, move to defer.
Second,
Rick
Tom.
and Tom, all right. Any objections to deferring this application? Hearing none, the application is deferred for another month without objection. Okay, and then going to the top of the list, we have two applications in Virginia Highland. The first is Virginia Highland Porch Fest and Rock and Run. Caitlin Norrell. Caitlin, are you still hanging with us?
I am still here. Hello.
Okay, last month, I think you were here, and there were a couple of things that were still outstanding, so we opted to defer the application. First was that the footprint had not been finalized, and that included the inclusion of Greenwood. Tell us what the status of that is.
Of course, yeah. So upon further conversation, they have decided not to close Greenwood. So we are, everything else is remaining the same. There are no changes this year as they are not closing that road.
Oh, okay.
Makes it easier.
Yes, it does. And I think that
and I know one of the other questions was the restrooms, and I didn't have those counts because we have decided to add a lot more of those. Last year, there were approximately 40 restrooms in the footprint. This year, we plan to have about 65 to really cover all the grounds.
okay, great.
Yep.
That's super.
Yeah, that is. And there was also concern about better police control, getting people in and out of the festival.
Yeah, and we actually have a another call with Chris Clark with APD to kind of go over their plans for that. But yes, I have brought up those concerns to him, and he plans to better staff and just have that better organized this year. That's no problem.
Okay, great. So those were last month's questions. Does anyone else have any questions for Caitlin regarding this festival?
That's Kevin. I'm thrilled to hear about the restrooms. That's will be good to share.
Yay. I'm happy to provide them.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second, this is Tom.
Okay, motion by Kevin, seconded by Tom to approve the application. Are any questions about the application or about the motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve, please raise your hand.
We leveled off at 11, 12.
I'm seeing 12 as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, now there's 13. Welcome
People
back.
really want, really want our Porch Fest.
Yeah. All right. So it's 13 ayes. Okay, if you're opposed to recommending approval of Porch Fest, please raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. So by a vote of, I heard a voice though. Okay, by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays, the motion to approve carries. And then the last Summerfest application, I'm sorry, the last application is Virginia Highlands Summerfest. This is a Class D event, 8,000 participants in John Howell Park on Virginia Avenue to North Highland Avenue, June 6 to 8, 2025.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and not a whole lot to report. This is the 40th year, so we are very excited. It's going to be just as great as the previous years. There are no other changes really. The stage, kid zone, artist market, bars, etc., are all in the same areas as the previous years. So yeah, really no changes. The kickoff party starts Friday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. There will be a sound check prior, I think around 4:30 that day, in the afternoon. And then the run is Saturday morning at 8 a.m., festival 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then 11 to 5 on Sunday.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Caitlin, this is Kevin. Will the road race be the same route as it's been before?
That is the plan, yes. Yep.
Okay. And then there will be like a jazz band Friday night, and then there'll be some bands playing right at the corner of Virginia, North Highland, like we've done in the past.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Okay.
So the main stage will continue to be in John Howell Park?
In the park, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and can I ask you about the number of participants? Only 8,000? That's 1,000 less than Porch Fest.
Of course, yeah. Let me, because I thought on my permit I had it as 9,000 as well. Let me see if I can pull that up. But yeah, that is just an anticipated number. It should be closer to around 9 to 10,000 for the whole weekend, of course. Um, so I would be happy to clarify that. I'm trying to pull it up, but if you're seeing 8,000, then yeah, it should be closer to 9 or 10.
Okay, that is a very low number for a 2-day, actually a 3-day event.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's 9,000, that's 3,000 people a day.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because I had just copied from last year's permit actually as an approximation. So I will actually take a look at that. It was submitted by my coworker actually, so I will take a look at that because you're right, that sounds a little iffy.
Yeah. And it used to be a Class B event with 40,000 anticipated people and usually had more.
Yeah, and too, last year, I mean, yeah, it was a very busy, very popular event. So that might have just been an error on whoever was submitted by. So I will
Yeah.
absolutely take a look at that. Because, yeah, I think it was closer, definitely up to 25, 30, even more. So,
yeah.
And Caitlin, this is Kevin again. Full transparency, Debbie and I both live on Rupley, but Rupley years ago used to be closed off and have a police officer protect it because it's a one-way street, that ends at Todd. If we could, when you talk to Chris, maybe talk about having our street closed off again, because otherwise we have people flying up the wrong way from Todd going towards Adair.
sure. What was that road name again? I'm sorry.
Rupley Drive.
Ripley Drive. Okay, absolutely. I'm making a note of that right now. And I will bring that up with Chris.
Thank you.
What happens is that people they go north on Trod, and then they run into the festival itself, and the only way out is Rupley. So they go the wrong way, and our street has a curve in it that's very dangerous.
Oh, goodness. Okay, absolutely. We'll bring that up. That should not be a problem.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
We have 200 artists already filled, so there's a waiting list. So if Caitlin, we could squeeze any other space for other artists for additional money for us, let's do it.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I think Betty is handling the artist market.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we have a meeting with her next week. So
Great.
really get the most in there as we can.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there a second?
A second, Tom?
Thank you, Tom. All righty, are there any questions about the motion or about the festival? Last call. Seeing none. All those in favor of the plans for Summerfest, please raise your hand. June 6th through 8th, I know they're looking for volunteers.
Yes.
I think that's about as high as they're going to go.
13.
13 ayes. All right, if you're opposed to recommending approval of Summerfest, please raise your hand. All right, I don't see any hands raised. So by a vote of 13 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries.
Well, thank you so much.
And thank you for being with us.
Of course.
I don't think that there are any other special event applications, but if there's anyone here that was expecting to be on the agenda, would you call out? Okay, if not, we're now going to move to presentations. Doug, do you have a brief Plan A presentation?
I do indeed. If I could share my screen right quick, I'd appreciate that.
You should be able to. Emphasis on brief.
Got it. Hold on just a second. Juggling a few files here. All right, let me, I'll just go right to the meat of the matter here. If I can go to my share. You don't see my screen?
Yeah, can now.
Yep. Great. View presentation. All right, so we're here a second of our third installment of the Plan A updates. We're here in March talking about the planning process to date. In today's presentation, we'll hit a few plan highlights. We'll be back in May to ask for your support and adoption of Plan A before we hit the June and July City Council meetings and hearings to get their hopeful support in July at the latest. Project website, project email address, you probably are familiar with that so far. All the documents that have been produced, as well as the current draft of the documents, are on the Plan A website, atlantaforall.com. You can check those out. Reminder, Plan A is the city's comprehensive development plan required by the state of Georgia every 5 years at the most. It also allows us to partake in certain programs offered by the state of Georgia. And as the name suggests, it's an overall vision, goals, policies, and actions for the future physical growth of the city of Atlanta. What I want to focus on tonight is the next couple slides here, which are the sort of overall themes of what we've seen and what we are including in Plan A going forward. You probably remember that there is now a new land use management system, if you will, called development patterns that combines what was the former future land use and character areas from previous CDPs and Plan A's. So we're now using development patterns, which act as land use areas and patterns. They have specific descriptions, specific graphics go along with them. Of course, we're doing this at the same time as we're aligning zoning 2.0, so we're doing a lot of alignment with that as we go forward. Plan A will be adopted in July. Zoning 2.0 will be going through a testing phase next year, but there will be an opportunity to make sure that both those documents continue to align going forward. Plan A also becomes the basis for coordinated small area planning and neighborhood planning following the adoption of Plan A in the rest of FY26 or the rest of the calendar year 2025, moving on to subsequent years going forward. So we're going to have deeper dives into areas of the city of Atlanta that need to have that more specific conversation and discussion to fine tune any Plan A related items. There was a lot of conversation and Plan A reflects interest in having housing for all, which we've spent a lot of time with our housing staff, making sure that Plan A reflected our current and our recommended housing programs going forward to provide housing diversity, both in size and scale and around the city of Atlanta. There were a lot of conversations and comments about the Atlanta's public realm, both coordinating that with our land use planning, but also planning for and advocating for arts, monuments, quality public spaces, wayfinding, and like I said, aligning public and private investments, but also to retain the city's natural, cultural, social, and civic identity. That covers a lot of territory, but that's sort of a umbrella sort of statement about the idea of the public realm, the public space, and that being quality and coordinated with our other development work. Then creating more resilient Atlanta with the climate change and other changes in our natural systems here, making sure that that we incorporate recommendations from climate resilient ATL, activate ATL and trails ATL, which you heard about tonight, into Plan A so that we build on those conversations and make sure that gets captured in the city's policy framework. You probably heard about other activities and I'm participating in other activities around the city of Atlanta. Plan A has incorporated all these folks and conversations into our recommendations in our chapter sections. So moving Atlanta forward, Vision Zero, both ATL, DOT projects, MARTA work, Atlanta Beltline, Activate ATL from Parks and Rec, Atlanta Housing Authority, formerly Atlanta Housing Authority, and Invest Atlanta programs as well. So all those are integrated into Plan A. In fact, you recommend adoption of Trails ATL into Plan A. That's one example of how they're all coordinated and work together. Just a quick overview of the schedule. Plan A will be adopted by July. Zoning 2.0 continues with its testing through the rest of 2025 and looking for introduction and adoption of legislation in the beginning of 2026, which will then create that new zoning toolbox to be used from that point going forward. So we closed out our second draft commentary process on March 13th. We opened a new draft at the beginning of this month, which is draft number 3. That'll be open through the rest of the legislative and discussion process up through June and July. We've also submitted our plan to Atlanta Regional Commission and Department of Community Affairs as required by the state planning ordinance. And so we're looking at comments back from them pretty shortly as well. We've also been having one-on-ones with city council members to brief them on the planning work so far and what we expect to bring to them in June and July. So you are already joining your MPUs because you're here tonight, but of course, check out atlantaforall.com. Any questions or comments, please send those to plana@atlantaga.gov. One of our Plan A team members will respond to those as quickly as we can. And that is the conclusion of my presentation.
Thank you, Doug. Any questions? And I do have a question or a comment.
Sure.
Piedmont Heights completed a master plan and submitted it to planning, I think at least a year ago, if not longer. And nothing ever happened. Is there, what needs to be done in order to get it incorporated into Plan A?
Yeah, that's a great question. We did have a couple circumstances where what we call smaller planning documents were done submitted during the Plan A process. So I'll revisit that with our leadership and our Plan A team directly about how we're going to take into account those sort of in-process documents going forward. But there will be a way to incorporate those recommendations so we don't have to go back and repeat that work.
Right. And it would be good for it to actually be in the document rather than Wow, thank you. Okay, any other questions? Alrighty.
Doug, can you drop that into the chat, your presentation?
Yeah, I'll give it a try. I assume it'll fit, but I'll give it a shot.
Okay, thank you.
If not, you can send it to me and I'll get it to Kevin.
Okay, sure.
Okay. And is there a planner's report?
There is a brief planner's report. Let me grab that from my files as well. Give me just a second. All right. So that's go to my other file here. Can y'all still hear me?
Yep.
Great. There's a couple quick items tonight. Debbie, I don't remember if you covered this, but in January and February, there were several variance applications that were supported by the NPU, and they were on the Board of Zoning Adjustment agenda for March 6th and 13th. That was V24-242, V24-224, and V25-14, and lastly, V25-06. Some actual updates. We just talked about Plan A Comprehensive Development Plan, so please check out that draft that's on the project website, atlantaforall.com. The Department of City Plans opened applications for this year's NPU University Civic Responsibility for Young Leaders opportunity. That's closes on April 30th. This is a 5-day, essentially week-long immersion for high school juniors and seniors to learn about community planning, important community issues, and also meet with city leaders and both staff and elected officials. They receive a stipend for participating, and they earn 35 community service hours, which are required by most high schools to graduate here in the Metro Atlanta area. And then our next installment of the Atlanta City Studio Book Club is on April 29th. This book is about American urbanist William White, like Jane Jacobs, who's a placemaker, a researcher, and enthusiast, and really helped lay the groundwork for how we view and plan our public spaces here in the United States. I will put a link in the chat where you can get more information on all those projects, plus I'll add my information there for folks to follow up on.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we finished our voting items. We're now up to neighborhood and committee reports. Let's take a walk around the NPU. Lindridge Martin Manor, anything to report? Okay. Piedmont Heights?
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so we will have a board meeting on May 13th at 7:15. We will also, we're working with Piedmont Heights and Morningside and sort of like a Cheshire Bridge Road task force. We'll have a meeting at 6 Feet Under on April 28th. And I also want to thank the chair for forwarding the grant request for all the park for the NPU-F grants. We were successful again. And I know she'll give us a schedule on when we can anticipate getting that money. Earth Day is coming up, April 22nd, and I would recommend going onto the Trees Atlanta website. There's lots of activities you could volunteer and lots of activities you can participate in. Trees Atlanta will be sponsoring a lot of those activities.
Thank you. Piedmont Heights?
Thank you, Debbie. Really don't have much to report. We did have a Beltline area cleanup on March 15th, sponsored by Piedmont Heights Civic Association, our Business Alliance, Pi High Alliance, and Sea League Enterprises. We had over 75 volunteers from Georgia Power, the neighbors, and all the businesses. So it was very successful. And there also, I don't mean to step on Lindridge Martin Manor's toes, but we're going to have a Pi High Alliance and Lindridge Martin Manor are putting a Cheshire Bridge cleanup together in May. So that, mark your calendars for that. And that's all I have to report from Piedmont Heights.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. Morningside, Lenox Park. Ms. Marlowe?
Yes, hello. We, at our board meeting, approved a letter to council regarding Amsterdam Walk to uphold, urging the city to uphold its community engagement and small area planning and have Amsterdam Walk comply with the Beltline Sub-Area 6 master plan. And we have a, so unrelated, we have a concert in the park on May 9th.
And which park would that be?
I'm sorry, Sydney Marcus Park, and it will be from 6 to 8, and we will have a high school band and face painter and balloon artists for the kids.
Cool. Thank you. Virginia Holland?
Well, as you know, we have Porch Fest and Summerfest coming up. We also will be having our home tour going back to 2 days in December. So look for more information on that. We have recently engaged with Aaron to work on some other further development on Ponce de Leon with the property that borders next to where Portman has property rights on Ponce from Bonaventure down to the burned out building, for those that that area well. And so that will be in the works. And we also tentatively will be having a meeting for community engagement around a potential Virginia Highland pool. And that will be, right now, it's scheduled for the 29th at 7 p.m. at Virginia Highland Church. More details to come as that sort of unravels, but I think there will be a lot of engagement around that issue.
Thanks, Kevin. Is there anyone here from Emory, CDC area, Druid Hills? Rich, anything else to say for parks, trees, and environment?
Earth Day.
Earth Day.
Second.
Okay. Education, Jason Holmes. I don't know if Jason's here. Okay. Is there a communications report, Marlo?
No, there is not. I did verify about 40 people yesterday who had lapsed. So that's exciting.
Okay. Susan, is there a public safety report?
No, nothing to report, except I think everyone heard about the fatalities this week at Monroe and Piedmont. The tragic accident. Other than that, nothing.
Me an email, and I don't know if I can.
Did she send you an email? Ooh,
Yeah,
I wonder if she copied.
I can't remember the details, and I forgot to
Let me look and see.
print it out. It was regarding the zone realignment, APD zone realignment.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're talking about realigning the zone again, and I can't remember either. It was several days ago.
You said it was completed.
Yeah.
That the Midtown Garden District was moving into Zone 5, which I
Right.
6, and that Cheshire Bridge would continue to have 2 zones.
Right.
I think that. Thank you for confirming.
Thanks.
Memory is not that great. Okay, Ben Terry, I'm sorry, I missed your hand while I was looking for this email.
Am I in order to ask a question of one of the presenters?
Which presenter? Does it have
Kevin with Virginia Highland?
Sure, go ahead.
Kevin, I don't live in Virginia Highland. I am on Amsterdam, but I am on the Morningside side of Amsterdam. Has your board taken any procedural steps to examine the current version of the Amsterdam Walk proposal? I know that there was an approval by your board of a previous version, but has there been any discussion or any steps have any discussions or steps been taken regarding a statement to council regarding the current iteration of that project?
We actually had some discussion at our board meeting on Monday regarding this. And, the previous board is the one that worked with, I believe also partnered with Morningside Lennox Park to negotiate and help with the development of some of those plans to make it a little more win-win. And we have really just let the community speak out loud and obviously attend it and support it. Some of the larger meetings that Alex hosted, et cetera, with that. But we have not done a formal vote to either endorse or not support the development there, because I think the previous plan is a lot of time was invested with, and I think that the board just wanted to let the community be able to speak out in light of that.
Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, Charlie, do you have a question for one of the neighborhood representatives?
Yes, I do. It's for Kevin also. You're obviously aware that MLPA has put out a statement calling on the council to reject the proposal because it's not in alignment with the Beltline Master Plan. Ansley Park, the neighboring community has also issued a statement. It would seem to me that given the history of what has happened since the Virginia Highlands Board approved it and the MLPA board originally approved it, to do exactly the same as what MLPA has done, reevaluate the situation in light of all that has transpired over the last year, taking into account the sentiment and also the fact that the current proposal is not in alignment with the Beltline Master Plan. So frankly, we don't understand why Virginia Highlands is not doing the right thing and joining with the broad community sentiment around this issue.
Charlie, I think Kevin just answered that question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Alrighty. All right. APAB meets this Saturday. I don't think Katie was out of town, so she's not here for a report. I have a couple reports. One is on the community impact project, is Rich just announced. We received the award letter for the 2025 Community Impact Grant Award. 4 of the 5 projects were funded, and I'm not quite sure exactly what formula they use to distribute the money, but Friends of Orm Park received $1,496. The Virginia Highlands Safety Patrol banners, $2,000. Virginia Highland District Association for their planters, $1,000. And Armand Park received $1,920. I did sign the award letter today, and the checks are being requested from the city's finance department. So it's probably going to be like another month before we actually see the money. There is a, but the award is contingent on completing the closeout for 2024. This has been a pain in my backside for now 4 months. There are 2 items that are still needed, one from Piedmont Heights, the other one from Lundridge Martin Manor. You know what I need. If they're not in by April 30th, there is no money coming in 2025. So we absolutely need to get that information in. And I want to thank the Virginia Highland District Association for acting as our fiscal agent this year. That is a great help. Also, one of our projects with the Virginia Highland website was not funded, but Alex Wan is willing to pick up the cost for that and actually offered to pay for the next several years, which is a incredibly generous offer for us. In terms of the chair report, you've already heard about Amsterdam Walk. The legislation will appear on the April 21st City Council agenda. The council convenes at 1 o'clock, but as a reminder, voting is preceded by recognition ceremonies and public comment, which is to say that you don't need to be there at 1 o'clock if you don't want to listen to that. If you haven't already, make sure you contact your council members asking for their vote to support your position. Next, the NPU support group sent back feedback for recommended changes to the bylaws or recommended flaws in our bylaws. We were, for the most part, found to be pretty much in pretty good shape. We were out of compliance in their perspective in one area, which is that we don't have descriptions for all of our committees. I'm not exactly sure which committees are not described, but we'll work on that. other areas that were noted that we use the term chair when we don't have an active committee under someone, so we may want to consider thinking about other names. And they asked us to revise our language that's used to establish Robert rules as our parliamentary authority and gave us the specific language. The deadline for making changes is with our annual bylaw review. And I've advised the city that we're not going to start working on our bylaws until July like we do every bylaw cycle. So no need to have a executive committee for that purpose. Next, as required, I completed the annual ethics disclosure form. It's available online if anyone is interested. Also, ethics disclosure forms for city council members and members of boards and are all part of that database. If you want the link, I can forward that to you. And then two final announcements. We received an SAP for a business at 2087 Piedmont Road for a restaurant. The applicant is Nana Adequate for Sahara Atlanta LLC. This is the former Looks of Atlanta location on Piedmont. It was sent to MLPA Lindridge Martin Manor in Piedmont Heights for review, and it should be on the May SAP hearing agenda if there are any comments or concerns. Also, we received a Beltline SAP for 442 Plasters. You may remember that address. That is, we had an LRB application there for KRA Haas. The NPU voted to deny the LRB application, citing its lack of parking and proximity to a church around the corner. The LRB did approve the application, but it was never issued. I have forwarded the application to Piedmont Height and the alcohol and public safety chairs, and it will also be on the May SAP hearing agenda. And oh, by the way, the applicant is Nana Adequate, also for Sahara Atlanta LLC. So two SAPs from the same applicant. Any questions about any of the NPU chair activities for the month? It's been an extremely busy, crazy month. All right, and this is not on the agenda, but it is under new business. So this is one last action for the NPU. As you all know, I have been living without a vice chair for the last year and a half. And Tom Schwab has agreed to be the NPU vice chair for the remainder of this year to help me out during the meetings. Tom has acted as co-host for tonight's meeting, so he's gotten a taste of what vice chair may look like. Are there any questions or any comments regarding Tom taking on that role?
Thank you so much.
Do we need to make a motion?
They got me drunk. I didn't know what was going on.
Yes, on black tea. Yes, we do need a motion. Kevin. Yes, Kevin.
Yes. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna make a move for to elect Tom for vice chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, thank you, Rich.
I'm going to hold both you guys to this. I'm writing your names down.
Lots of vice.
Okay, so for the record, we do need to take a vote.
Aye.
All those in favor? Oh, and the hands are flying up, Tom. You can vote for yourself.
I assume I have to abstain, right?
Oh, no, you can vote for yourself. I
was going to vote to deny myself, but All right, I'll make it official here, just so it's a landslide.
I think you're getting more votes than some of the years. And he laughs. There we go. Okay.
Counting 12, 13. Boy, this is people are even waking up for this one.
Yeah,
They're coming out of the woodwork.
yeah, they're getting tired of hearing me talk.
Oh, you vote often.
Okay, so that's 13 ayes. Okay, all right. Oh crap, my system has just gone bonkers. I cannot lower the hand, so I will ask, is there anyone opposed to the motion to make Tom Schwab vice chair? I can't get back to my window. This is crazy. Oh, Lord.
I don't
Okay.
think I can lower hands. Oh, I can lower them individually here.
Okay.
All right, I lowered everybody individually.
Okay, I now have a whiteboard sitting on my screen. Okay, are there any nays?
Congrats.
Have mercy on me, please.
Oh, and yeah,
I know not what I have done. Yeah.
and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for this, because we've really been suffering. Okay, let me
All
look.
good. It takes a village. We're all in it together. So,
Alrighty, is there any other business to come before the NPU tonight?
I do. I have a point of order question regarding a vote we took of variance earlier. It's come to my attention that two people voted that only own 25% of a trust for the house next to the subject property at 816 Adair. So they only own 25%. One person lives in Virginia, one lives in Lawrenceville, Georgia. And I don't know if they're both allowed to have a vote since they don't own full ownership, or how that would work.
No, I don't think our bylaws address that. The bylaws state that if you are a resident in the NPU, if you own property in the NPU, or if you are a business owner in the NPU but don't necessarily live in the NPU, then you are allowed to vote. There is no criteria for the amount of the percentage of property for ownership. So,
okay.
And I mean, if you sort of think about it, this may or may not be applicable, but a husband and wife would have 50% share in a house.
Right.
Jack, do you have a perspective on that?
I do. I think the criteria, and certainly the phrase that we've used repeatedly to summarize it, is if you have a financial interest in the outcome of the vote. Certainly anybody owning 1% would have technically, and that. And secondly, so I think which is why neither husband nor wife in the instance you just cited would be eligible, and nor have ever been eligible, to my knowledge. Secondly, membership.
Jack, we're talking, this is not the applicant, it's the adjacent property owner.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I do withdraw those comments, but I'm not done talking. Thanks, Kevin. The other issue is membership is where your primary residence is. So if those are applicable, I have no knowledge of it, but if anyone else does, Virginia or Lawrenceville is not inside NPU-F, and you are not eligible to vote.
Yeah, because they're not, and Jane's father recently passed. Jane had power of attorney in the house, but he did not own the house. It was living as part of the Mary Frances Rice Trust that is listed as the owner of the property in Fulton County records. But the residents, they do not reside at 812 Adair.
But it's residence or ownership, right?
No, actually, Chip just posted the quote from the bylaws.
Under the circumstances, Madam Chair, if there is a conflict or it seems likely, I would just simply say that perhaps the recommendation should be withdrawn, period. I really don't, I think this is going to get decided, as I stated earlier, to general cheer.
So can we make a motion to rescind the vote earlier?
I would rather, perhaps it would be more appropriate to ask the chair if she or her or the new vice chair would like to ask for clarification or make that motion, Kevin. It's viable, sure.
Well, all I would say is if we rescind the vote, our vote tonight was again to recommend denial of the application, but the previous vote that went in a month ago was also to deny. So if we rescind tonight's vote, it defaults to last month's vote, which was also deny.
I don't think I agree with you, Tom. I think we withdrew that. We rescinded that motion to open the proceedings.
Yeah. I would propose if we rescind the motion, we could then vote on another motion.
Yeah, okay, so this is what I'm struggling with, and it's an issue of fairness. I don't think there's anyone that's still in the room that opposed the application, and to open up the discussion again.
Yeah.
Without them, I just don't feel like it's in the spirit of community engagement or being good neighbors. What
sharing that would be, and having you inquire about the accuracy would be a more appropriate approach.
Yeah, and let me do that. I am afraid that it is going to kick back to, these are the NPU bylaws, and so we're not going to find too many people that are going to be helpful unless there's an attorney that lives in the NPU that wants to opine on it.
Debbie, you may want to mention if a representative from the NPU is present at the BZA, saying we took two votes. One was to support the amendment, and it was a tie vote. Then there was another one to deny. It was a vote of 18 to 16.
Right.
I think the BZA would have a sense that it was a very close split vote by the NPU, and then they make their decision.
Yeah, I think that that's viable. And the only other option, I think, would be to reconsider this application at the May meeting. And then we go through this all over again.
Isn't this one coming up
in May, early May?
I believe.
Yeah,
I believe
before
it's scheduled for May.
we would defer it one more time. So
Well, if it wasn't a tie vote.
Well, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, lean in.
The fact that it was a tie vote and very close on the denial, those two votes make a big difference. If it was a big swing one way or the other, it wouldn't. But I think it's really appropriate to investigate the allegation that people voted that shouldn't.
Yeah.
And then report the findings of that investigation at the BZA and say, listen, this is a tie vote, and two people voted that probably didn't, or we found shouldn't have voted or weren't eligible to vote. As quick as they were to point out the homeowner voting, I think it's fully appropriate to investigate and find out whether or not they are resident, which is what it says in our bylaws.
Yeah.
Primary residence in the NPU-F. It isn't, the ownership business has to do with businesses, not with property, not with homeowners.
Sounds appropriate and fair.
I would, maybe we entertain a motion where we would have the NPU investigate this and document this and then provide a letter to the BZA or a live representative at the May 8th meeting to let them know that it would have been a tie vote if we would have, you know, really checked, you know, who lives in the neighborhood and who doesn't.
We had knowledge of that because it's, yeah,
Yeah,
it's tied one way or another.
so I don't record who votes in which way. But I would like to know, and you don't have to call them out here, I can get the names later.
You have an email.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so
For those of you who haven't been to the BZA, they do generally inquire what the vote was, but 99.99% of their discussion is involved on the actual issues in front of them.
yeah, and I think they'll have a pretty good idea of what those issues are when folks both on the side of supporting and the side opposing speak up. So Kevin, did you want to offer a motion for the NPU to investigate?
Yeah, I make a motion that NPU investigate whether anybody at 812 Adair Avenue could actually vote on the variance at 816 Adair Avenue, and then report formally to the BZA that given two people would have voted for, that it would have most likely been a tie vote.
Okay. I'm okay, well, let's figure out how to do that. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Yep.
Okay, that's Wiley. Okay. Okay.
Debbie, I'm sorry. I just went and looked at the NPU registrations. And the two people did fill out the form, the NPU-F form for 812 Adair, but I did not receive any ID, any documentation of their license or utility bill or anything like that.
Interesting.
Do you know what date they filed it? Did they have sufficient time in order to?
One did it on April 9th and the other one registered today.
Oh, hell. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. April 9th would have been Jane when she would have registered, and then the other one would have, the Lawrenceville person registered today.
Well, I think it's the other way around. April, on here it says April 9th. Do you want me to say the person's name?
It's fine.
Is Leanne.
Yeah.
And then April 16th was Jane.
Okay.
So Jane doesn't live in the house?
No, she lives in Virginia. She's her license plate is Virginia. She's been in town since the father died 5 weeks ago, but her permanent residence is Virginia.
Okay. Do you know if she is the personal representative or the executor of her father's will?
The house is Mary Frances Rice Estate. I mean, trust. So he was not the owner of the house. He lived in the house, but it was a trust house in the name of Mary Frances Rice. So Jane has 25% of the trust, as well as Leanne has 25% of the trust. So he did not own the house.
Well, this is also not very neighborly. So it is a dilemma, but okay. Are there any objections to this approving this motion or taking this action?
No objections.
No, okay. All right, if there's no objections, then I will investigate and come up with an appropriate way of communicating this to the BZA, either by letter or in person, depending on the date of the meeting.
Thank you.
In the interest of full transparency, can we do anything to communicate with the relevant parties that were interested? I know that was one of the feelings, that the whole process hadn't been communicated to them. I don't know if there's a good forum to do that. Just you know, in the interest again of being neighborly, to be very transparent about what we're doing and why.
I prefer the word inquire rather than investigate personally.
Yeah.
Well, I believe a certain architect could share the emails of the impacted neighbors there too.
Yeah.
To communicate that when it's appropriate. To
Yeah,
have transparency.
Just to keep everything,
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah. And Jack, I do like the word inquire better, because that's exactly what I'll be doing. This is definitely a new issue for us.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no objections, then the motion carries. Alrighty. And
I
then,
move we adjourn.
yeah, that was one.
Sorry, guys, for bringing that other one
Y'all
up.
don't have a meeting
No,
for another 30 minutes and you turn into pumpkins. Okay, motion to adjourn at what time is it? 10:34.
a second.
Kevin and Tom. Alrighty.
And Debbie, I'm going to call you on a personal matter to update you in 2 seconds, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Ready. Don't forget you can save the chat by clicking on the three dots, either at the top or at the bottom of the chat. And I will leave the leave this open for a little bit so folks can drop off. And I can also, but I will turn off the